Lovely. This keeps happening, chat. I mean, those of you that were here around last week, it keeps happening. Murgmasallam says, I am learning APIs in Node.js and want to introduce myself to other languages too. Okay, cool. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you here. So let me catch up on what was happening in chat there. This is the good thing. Oh, I have a backup machine to capture chat messages so that I don't miss, just in case, because it's all gone on this screen here. So just a little stream tip for those of you that stream. Yeah, F in the chat. J Dad's good to see you. Sandwich says Monka S brought stream down. Monka S, yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Why does this keep happening? I need to figure out what's going on. murgmasallam, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was down for everyone. codesillystuff. ET stream home. Brian will be right back after these messages from the offline corporation. Yeah. All right, I think I'm all caught up now. Moscow Bish says it's a program that maintains chat. Just sit and see. Yeah. Chatterino? Oh, that's cool. That one always gets me because the last part, right? I think it's funny in the beginning, but then he's like, click, 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 click. I'm like, chill out, dude. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But if it does, I appreciate you all sticking around. Like that's super cool of you. This keeps happening. I don't know what is going on with my setup. I honestly have been planning to just do like a fresh install of Windows and just getting everything, but like I'm dreading doing that because I just have so much involved with the setup of my stream that I really don't like. And I have backups of it all, but it's still going to be a pain in the butt to like get everything connected and going again. That I'm like, I don't want to go down that path. I meant to do it over the holiday break, and I was like, I kept putting it off over the holiday break. And don't you wish? Thank you so much for the follow. Effort, yeah. Fun story about Monka S. A buddy of mine didn't know like how to pronounce that, and he was like Monk S. And I'm like, no, that's not it, bud. You got it wrong. And so that's how like we always joke around and say it that way now too. But cool, Moscow Chatterino. I'm gonna have to check that out. Feel free to drop a link in chat about. Well, I guess I could Google it, right? Google it, Chatterino. Vampirina. That's what that makes me think of. So I do use. Well, that's cool. Chatterino is a chat client for Twitch chat. It aims to be an improved extended version of the Twitch web chat. You know, I think I actually have run into this one before. I forgot about it, but that's cool. I use one that's called Yada. This is the one I tend to use, but it doesn't show the when people redeem the channel points. So that's why I've been using like the straight up Twitch chat as a pop out. Robert Tables, my man, is this some Clark? Yeah, you just missed my stream crashing again. It just keeps happening every stream now. Moscow Bitch says I'm too lazy to use it, but it's really nice. Okay, I got you. Yeah, same here. All right. That said, Mark, stream is back, and we're moving into the Pythons stuffs. So what I was trying to say, what's up, Tofrog? Good to see you, man. I'm so glad I got a chance to catch your stream last night. Speaking of which, let's do some shout outs. Robert Tables, bam, good buddy and friend that streams, does a lot of cool and interesting stuff. And Tofrog, who's been starting to stream as well. Good friend of the stream here. So shout out to both of them. Check them out. Drop them a follow if you'd like. And be sure to tune into their streams when they go live. All right. Speaking of Robert Tables, he is what I was trying to announce before the stream crashed. Who's going to be the guest? Look. See the name over there? Whose name is that? Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Be here. Sharp and on time. Robert Tables and I are going to be talking about... What are we talking about again, man? Senior dev life, basically. Leveling up as a senior, what is it like? What are the responsibilities of being a senior dev? Robert Tables is gonna shed some light on that for us, and we're all gonna have a conversation about that and get feedback from you all in what you wherever you are in your developer career, we want to help you out in learning how to get to that next level, like to get to where you want to go, get that promotion you're looking to get. So we're going to talk about doing that. All right. So that's tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time, Build Up Devs Live with Robert Tables. Danish is busy traveling for work as well. Both my co-hosts, what are the odds that both my co-hosts are traveling and busy in the same week, you know? So if you're interested, be sure to tune in. Again, that's tomorrow, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, which is what? 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 p.m. UTC. Awesome Musical Bookworm says. Moscow says, so entry level? Yeah. We can talk all about that. Robert Till says, oh my, and we're all going to cry together and hug a lot. Yeah. Toprak says, tables hype. Code Silly Stuff says, oh my god. You know, that's how my mother says that.
I like turtle.
That New York accent. Hey, there's all the sound effects playing. What else? Gareth says, I'm hyped for later, actually coming back to streaming tonight. Okay, cool, man. That's good. That's good to hear, Gareth. Hey, no problem, Tofrog. Happy to do the shout out. Okay, so let's get it. Switch over here. So Mark, reading/learning about Vue Decorators, Decorator, smooth operator in Flask. So this is where I could use some help, honestly, chat, since I don't have my co-host. Normally, I'm doing the marks and timestamps like that for the stream notes. It would be greatly appreciated if you find that we're transitioning from one topic to another to just do mark, exclamation point, mark, space, and then like what is the topic we're transitioning to at that point in time. And that will help generate some of the stream notes, and you'll get your name added there as credit. Like we attribute that to you. So it's not for nothing, at least. And it's a great deal of help. It's little things like that. All right, so incoming 5 marks every time. It's all good. I'll take it, and then I'll just clean it up and make sure everybody gets, you know, if I get everybody at least once, I'll clean up the stream notes and make sure everybody gets a chance to get credit for doing the marks. It seriously does help out a lot with this show and with the Build Up Dev show. All right, so Vue Decorators, right? I don't want to just read everything to you, but I'm going to skim because this is my first time reading it, honestly. Like I just looked at the headings. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this login one. That's it. And we're just going to, I want to go into it blind. I want people to see, because that's the part of the benefit of seeing this stuff live, is you get to see people struggle and work through it and problem solve, right? So I want you all to see my thought process as I'm going through this to figure this out. So Vue Decorators, Python has a really interesting feature called function decorators, right? So we saw a little bit of that with the routes on the stream last time. I don't have the code actually locally, so we're going to be pulling that code down. I wanted people to be able to see that, because we've always been working off of Cecil's machine, and now we're going to be working off of my machine, okay? Nubonius Prime. What a name. I love it. Thank you so much for the follow. So, we're going to be doing that after we learn a little bit here about the decorators, and before we start jumping into actually writing code, and I'll pull down the code. But we saw the routes. We would define a function that's like the implementation of a route that will return like a message, right? But at the top of that, we have an attribute that's @ symbol, route, and then in there define the route like slash or slash dog names or whatever the situation is that we want the API to be. So that's where we saw some Vue decorators, but now we're going to dive deeper into this today. Tofrog says, sings Vue decorators to the smooth operator. Yeah. Nubonius Prime says, I've seen your profile pic on Reddit. It doesn't look like you though. It doesn't look, oh, because of the beard. Is that what you're saying? But that's cool to hear, Nubonius Prime. Welcome from Reddit. You're catching us. Wait, did the stream freeze again? Okay, good. I got worried. Frank with the Twitch Prime sub. 4 months, my man. That's super kind of you. Thank you so much, Frank. I thought the stream froze again because on my other screen here, monitoring things, it got me worried. But thanks again, Frank. Okay. So, so here we go. They talk about like the route decorator is one that you probably used already, but we didn't really know necessarily that was a decorator. We were just like, that's just how you define a route, right? By saying route like this. In fact, let's just recap that just really quickly. Here's that example I was telling you about. Let me blow it up a little bit so you can see. So you have app, it's app.route. I forgot about that. Not at. So it's @app.route. parentheses, and then in a string you define the route. We also talked about the parameters that you can pass into the route. Cecil was showing us that. Lots of fun and cool stuff that we did with creating endpoints there. Routing, that's what we did. We did all routing last week. It's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me now. All right, so login required decorator. So let's implement such a decorator. A decorator is a function that wraps and replaces another function. That's interesting. Wraps, so it's wrapping and replacing another function. Since the original function is replaced, you need to remember to copy the original function's information to the new function, right? So we're going to use a function here called func_tools. I love when people abbreviate function to func. I just love it. Func_tools.wraps to handle this for you. Okay. This example assumes that the login page is called login and the current user is stored in g.user and is none if there is no one logged in. Okay, so that's good. We're setting the stage here in the context, right? We're gonna have a g.user property somewhere, and we need to make sure that that is got a value to determine if somebody's logged in or not. And if it doesn't, then that means they're not logged in, right? So the idea here is we're gonna have a route that is gonna be protected by a login decorator to prevent requests being made to that are not already what we would call authenticated. Like that's the technical term here. Authenticated meaning, so let's talk about security a little bit here. Actually, this is a great opportunity. Mark authentication versus authorization discussion. Let's talk about authentication versus authorization. Tofrog, thank you for the host, man. So I'm not a security expert. Pravan, good to see you. Welcome. I'm not a security expert. I consider myself a application security, specific to application security, writing apps, web apps. I'm an application security enthusiast, right? So I've had in my past, although I haven't been doing a lot of work around this lately, a strong passion around learning about application security so that I can make sure my apps are secure as best to my ability and keep my users safe and my company safe when I'm building out stuff, right? So Gareth is going on. Excellent. This is great. I'm glad to hear this in chat. So Gareth is taking a stab at defining authentication versus authorization. So Gareth goes on to say, authentication, are you who you say you are? Excellent. And authorization is, are you allowed to do this? That is a great way. Thank you, Gareth, so much for providing that those messages and details in the chat. That's exactly it. That's a great way to describe it in like human terms, right? Authentication is about how you identify, right? So it's about like you are who you say you are. I am Brian Clark. I am Clarkio, right? So the way you prove that is done in different ways, right? There's a username and password or email and password combination. There's two-factor authentication to help with that as a supplement. It's security like in-depth kind of thing. There is to further verify your identity, that you are who you say you are, that you're trying to log in as. This is all authentication we're talking about. There's, like biometric types of authentication that is being done nowadays, like with the phone. You got, the Face ID, the thumbprint ID or fingerprint ID, all that kind of stuff. Like you saw that on the MacBook Pros, the previous generation of them. Actually, I think even in the current generation, right? So that's what authentication is about. Now, when it comes to like that, we're not going to build out a login page necessarily here right now. We're just going to be building out the API to support, to basically lock down routes. Okay. And in this case, what they're looking to do based on this description of this scenario, this context here, is they just want somebody to be authenticated, like they've identified themselves. That means somebody logged in, and that way we know that we can like further make decisions based on that information, right? Maybe this is a route where you only get, like, think about this. Like there's a lot of sites where you only get access to, I don't know, what's the word? Like you get free, think about a service where you get free stuff, but in order to get access to that free stuff, you need to be logged in, right? Because they just want like your email is really what it is a lot of times. And then they market to you based on your email. Like you see that a lot nowadays, like through ads and whatnot. They're like, oh, here's this document on how to become a better developer. And if you want this PDF book about it for free, all you got to do is sign up, right? And so you can't just get access to that API endpoint that gives the document. You need to be at least logged in and signed up. So it's just saying you're logged in. You've identified. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have like permissions assigned to you. It's like the lowest permission possibly needed for access to that endpoint, that API endpoint. That's what we're getting at here. Make sense? Now, authorization, as Gareth went on to describe, and I'll get to the rest of messages in chat here once I'm done describing this. Again, to repeat this from Gareth, authorization, are you allowed to do this, right? Do you have the permissions granted to you under your identity to do what you're trying to do? So if you're trying to, I don't know, add a dog to the list of dogs, do you have permission to add? Maybe. There's like a role maybe assigned to, like maybe you have roles defined in your system, your application, to say like, all right, here's a permission type. Here's add dog, delete dog, modify dog, all different permissions, right? And you would assign those roles to users based on like whatever decisions, based on certain criteria that you require. And so some people might have the ability to just read dogs' names and information. Some people might be able to, like maybe an administrator of the system, somebody that owns it, the business. They're the ones that have access to add dogs and remove them or whatever it may be. Just to give you more examples, right? So that in a nutshell is authentication versus authorization. Getting back to what we're doing here, this login required decorator is just, we're just basically seeing if somebody has authenticated or not, right? Long story short. Now to catch up in chat, Rabbit Tables, this term authentication, that's a good one too. So a lot of times you'll see this, folks. I'm glad Rabbit Tables brought this up as well. You'll see authentication abbreviated as authn, as Robert Tables mentioned there. Let's do it like this, excuse me. So authentication, aka authn, and then authorization, aka authz. Okay, so Robert Tables brought this up as well, so shout out to Robert Tables for that. Again, this is just an abbreviation for what we described authentication to be, and this is like another abbreviation for authorization, because we're developers. We like acronyms, right? We like to put everything in an acronym. Stacking says, sure, who is your daddy and what does he do? Okay, what's up? What's up, Stacking? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Ravon says, will you use JWT for authentication? Maybe we'll get to that point, but I think that's a little bit beyond what we're looking to do today. But thank you for bringing that up and suggesting it. I think that will be probably on a future episode. Garrett says, it's very unfortunate both words start with auth, and often people shorten both to auth. That can get very confusing. Absolutely. Karamawi, thank you so much for the follow. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, please feel free to correct me. Moscow says, we love buzzwords. We do. We definitely do, right? So yeah, a lot of times, as Gareth mentions, people will like kind of group these together as just like, hey, we need to make sure we implement auth in our application. We need to make sure Wally, thank you for the follow. Love the name too. You know, at the beginning of a project, I've definitely heard this before back when I was earlier on in my career. I think I probably am guilty of saying this, where I'd be like, yeah, we need to add security to our application. Let's add auth to it. And then that was it. But there's a lot more involved when it comes to application security. I can go on and on about this stuff. Maybe we can do that in a future episode where we dive deeper into that kind of thing. Like different vulnerabilities that you can have in a web application and how to help mitigate those risks of having those vulnerabilities, and so forth. Moscow says, I prefer OAuth Kappa. Yeah. All right. So it is correct. Karamawi. Okay, cool. Thank you. Good to see. Good to have you here. I'm glad I got it right on the first try. That's awesome. That's a surprise. All right. So now that we kind of set the stage for what we're going to try and do, let's get set up with our environment quick so that we can start coding too, because we're already seeing right here, we got some code to write our first login decorator. So I am in Visual Studio Online. If those of you that have been following along from the past, thank you so much, Gareth. Appreciate that. I almost forgot. Those of you that have been following along from the past episodes of this kind of mini series or whatever, this track we're following with building an API in Python with Flask, Cecil set up an environment via his repo. So and we've been using Visual Studio Online. So I should be able to, in theory, basically recreate the same environment he's been using from past episodes and connect to it via my machine. Not his, but like a copy of his environment that he's done. just by pointing to his repo. So let's make sure we get that. We're going to github.com/, actually, I think the link is in a command, Python repo. Come on. Or it's Python -repo. Why did I add the hyphen to this command? Yep, that's it. That's the one. Python. Why did I put hyphen in there? I should just say Python repo. All right, this is it, which involves a dev container. So this is the thing that's going to help get us to recreate this. So we're going to copy I think the HTTPS version is what we want. So I'm copying that. And where'd it go? There it is. So I'm going to say create environment. I'm going to give it a name. What do you call it? Python Flask stream. Python Flask stream. We're really good at naming things, aren't we? As developers. Git repository. So all I got to do is point it to that Git repository. I'm going to choose standard. And I want it to go and suspend this whole environment after 30 minutes so my costs don't go skyrocketing. I'm going to click create. All right, let's see what happens. Moscow says, because the GitHub repo contains hyphens. Maybe, yeah. Gareth says, can you alias commands in your bot? I can. You're right, actually, I can. I just never thought to do that. I should have done that. Do we have easy access to pricing for these things? We do. So if you click on this instance, well, first of all, if you go to online.visualstudio.com, right, that's going to give you the basic information of it. But honestly, what that ends up, when it says like you, Knowledge joined us. Good to see Knowledge. Thank you. That's Knowledge's sound effect when he joins. But really where you want to like get started right away, you go to that link right there, online.visualstudio.com/login. Yeah, Robert Taves, well, we know who that was, yeah. Karamawi says, what is the difference between using VS Code Online and the desktop app? I'll show you, I'll get to it. That's a great question, thank you for that. And if you don't get the answer from it, feel free to hit me up with that question again. But you should. Gareth says Hubball. GarethHubball says, and is the suspended for after a period of inactivity? Yes, correct. So basically, if I don't connect to this environment for more than 30 minutes, within 30 minutes, it will automatically go into a suspended state, which will reduce my costs from as if it was running. So let's take a look at the pricing one more time. So really the best way to do this, to be honest, because like, you know, I don't fully follow the way the pricing, you know, like works. The best way to do it is to click on this calculator and be like, okay, let's estimate what we're going to be using, how much we're going to be using this tool, this service, right? And you know, search for Visual Studio Online, and you click on that. So I type in the search bar here, Visual, shows Visual Studio Online. I click on that. That was added here. I added it twice. Let's delete the one. And let me take off this extension that I have running here really quick so everybody can see what I'm actually doing. All right, so you choose your region that you're going to be running it in. There's 4 right now. I'm sure more will come in the future. You choose your instance type. So 4 cores, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabyte hard drive. That's enough for me. I don't need more than that, you know, running things. So you say, I'm going to have one environment. I'm going to have 80 active hours. So this is per month. Keep that in mind, right? So, and active hours means you're actively developing in the environment. You're actively using the environment, writing your code, running your code, doing all that kind of stuff. And then just total hours is, you know, like this is your active hours, and then plus inactive hours equals the total hours is my understanding. So, you know, you got to think, I don't know, maybe you're working a 9-to-5 job. And so that's 40 hours a week times 4 is 160 hours a month, right? Am I right? Oh my God, why am I not getting this? Yes, 4 times 4 is what? 16. Oh my gosh, I have a story about this, and this remind me to tell a story about simple math multiplication I've been struggling with lately. 160 hours a month, right? So you think potentially you could have 100, like let's be realistic, all right? There's like nobody that's working a 9-to-5 that is actually 100% focused and actively working 40 hours a week, right? So realistically, you know, let's say it's like 80 hours for the month where you're actively developing. You have other things going on anyway. You have meetings, you have, you know, you're designing architectures and doing UML diagrams, whatever. You know, you're doing a lot of other things as a developer. You're reviewing other people's code. You're not actively always developing as a developer. So let's say, you know, an estimate here, 80 hours, and then a total of 730 hours. I guess that's the total number of hours in a month, roundabout. So they're saying that equals about $41.26 a month, right? But it could be less. This is probably, you know, mid-range of what you're doing. You could probably go a little bit more conservative, and that lowers things. You know what I'm saying? Gareth says it's about 730 hours in a month. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's what you're getting there. So this gives you a better idea of what it's going to cost you based on the instance type that you're running, the environment you're running with this, and the number of environments and hours. So if I did this like 2, it's just going to double everything, right? You have 2 environments that are like that. Maybe you have a teammate that's using a different environment from you or something, you know? But the idea behind this is like, it's this consistency in the environment that you're developing within. Kind of like, you know, if you're using a Docker container, right? It's very similar to doing that. In fact, underneath all this, it's using Docker is my understanding. I think that's what Cecil shared with us last time. So a link to this so that everybody can check that out if they like and start doing the calculation too is right there. All right. Thank you for that question, Gareth. All right. So created that environment. Not a cheap deal. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. I think it's a bit on the expensive side, but we'll see where keep in mind this is all still early on. I think it's like, it's in open beta basically right now, and it's not fully released yet. So they're still getting a feel for how people are using it, what the costs are for running it, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Frank says on average 175 hours a month, longer months. Okay, cool. Yeah. Robert Taylor says I get a good 4 hours of actual work done each week. I could see that, man. I mean, like, and I'm not looking at that and I'm like, that's you know, bad, or you know what I mean? Like that's probably like a really good solid 4 hours of development work. Moscow says, and I don't see any kappa there, so I'm assuming you like mean that seriously, right? Moscow says you don't know Powers of 2 by heart. Yeah, actually, let me tell you that story now, right? So YouTube Kids, my daughter watch it. You know, we'll let her watch YouTubes for a period of time, and there's parental control on there to help like limit the time. So you can be like, oh, you only get it for 5 minutes, right? And then it like basically like locks her out and just shows like, hey, sorry, your time is up. And she's it's been actually a fantastic way to help her kind of transition from being in the zone of like watching and learning stuff on YouTube Kids to, you know, waking up from that zone. Whereas before it was like, sometimes she just wanted to see the finish of the video and we're like, no, we got to go. You know, we told you got 5 minutes, that kind of thing. Anyway, so it's a really good tool to use. And it does a great job of helping them transition out of that mindset. Anyway, so the parental lock on it though, the way you unlock it right now, especially for her age, is you can either have a passcode or you can do multiplication. And there's been several times where I and my wife are like, what is, you know, I don't know, I'm just making one up. What is 4 times 6? Isn't it 23? And we're like, and the other one's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't remember. You know what I mean? Like, and we sit there and pause for a moment because you're not doing that so often, you know, you're like out of practice, and I just feel ashamed about it, but I'm also like, whatever. So that's my story about it. So like we're sitting there and trying several times to unlock this thing to put a timer on or whatever, you know? So anyway, all right. So Karam always says, what is the difference between using VS Code Online and the desktop app? So the desktop app is about, you're just developing on your actual machine. You're using your machine environment, which could be very different and inconsistent from other developer machines, right? Which we always run into. This is a common problem in the industry. There's that meme and joke, right? It works on my machine. That happens a lot of times too, that you might come across as well. So I think a lot of people seeing that that's a problem, there's been lots of solutions created to help combat that and remove that situation where there's inconsistencies in environments and running your applications in those environments, right? So you might write some code to run an application, maybe build out a web API that works fine on your machine, but then somebody else goes to run that same code on their machine and it doesn't work, right? So the idea here is you can use a Visual Studio Online environment to get all this stuff kind of baked in with Visual Studio itself, Visual Studio Code, I mean, and have that consistency in the environment. It's not to say that's the only way you can approach doing this. As we mentioned earlier, you can use containers and through Docker, via Docker, to help recreate that whole thing and have consistent environments that you're developing against. But that's probably the biggest difference in my mind. But the other thing is, like, one is you're using Visual Studio, like the app on your computer, and the other one you can use Visual Studio in the web browser. Let me show you that really quick. So I could potentially use my installed one on my machine here of Visual Studio to connect to this remote environment via VS Code extensions, or I could just develop straight up in the browser. This is my browser now. Look, there's a URL here. There's a URL at the top. So it's loading the environment for me and getting Visual Studio Code fired up. So while that's going, let's answer some more questions in the chat. What'd I miss? Robert Table says, I disagree. Cheap is a very narrow way of looking at things. When it comes to business value and TCO, what's TCO? That has to factor in a lot more stuff. Yeah. Moscow says is capital D colon is also pretty much like Kappa. Oh, okay, I got you. Moscow says just use Docker forehead. Yeah. I mean, you can use Docker. That's a perfectly good solution too. Provence says, chat, currently writing an exam in school. Should I talk about programming in cloud or cloud for companies? I mean, whatever you feel more passionate about, I think, Provence, that's going to make you more motivated to keep working on that thing from my perspective, and that's how I would approach it. Provence says, so this VS Code online thing is like Docker environment, but live? Yeah. Gareth says, don't forget that VS Code is an Electron app and therefore very much a browser-based thing. So it should feel very similar. Yes, there's pretty much Visual Studio Online using Visual Studio in the browser as an editor is very close in parity in terms of features and what it's capable of doing with the actual application that you install on your machine. So keep that in mind too. What else we got here? Robert Tail says, also, I've seen dev environments that require more resources than the dev's machine even has. It does exist in industry, so offloading that to the cloud is at least an option. That's a great point too. Thank you for sharing that, Robert Tables. Provence says, it's amazing how cloud is being used and at the same time scary. We won't probably in like 5 years have heavy power machines for gaming as we are able to play it in the cloud. Google's new thing, etc. Yeah. Well, I think that's, yes, you have a point, but also, as you know, being a gamer myself, if you're playing competitive games online, the current solution I don't know that like that's helpful. Like that's going to work in that scenario. Single player games, absolutely. You're playing like a racing game or some role playing game or something like that with some story modes in certain games, for sure. Like playing games via the cloud, excellent. But you're playing like a competitive game, like, I don't know, like Rocket League or Fortnite or, you know, like the shooter games, that kind of thing. The latency is enough to where it's going to give you a disadvantage if you're playing competitively, I think. That's my opinion. Provence says, I choose programming in cloud as those two are often used together, like people push to some server to test it and deploy. Okay, cool. Karamawi says, I got it. Thank you. Okay, cool. Glad I could help answer that. All right, so here we are. We essentially set up this environment and we're at the point where we have everything that we worked on from last time. Now, being that this is my Visual Studio, my instance of Visual Studio Code environment now, like Cecil probably set up a linter pylint is not installed, so let's install that. IntelliCode Python, enable it and reload the window. Python is not installed. Oh, the Python extension, yeah. So I probably need that too. So let's let it finish. Did it finish? Oh, it's reloading the window. Return to Dust afternoon. How are you doing, Return to Dust? Provence says, I don't think the internet will have the latency in the future as we have today. Speed is getting higher and higher and more servers are deployed. It will be funny to follow cloud's trip. I agree with you, but I don't know that it's ever going to get to a point where it's like, think about this. Let's talk about this really quick. If you're gaming via the cloud in a competitive situation, Let's take Fortnite just to go as an example, since it's pretty widely known, whether you like it or not, right? But like people play that competitively. The input of you pressing keys on your keyboard and mouse on your machine has to be sent to the main, if you're going to play that like via the cloud and not locally on your system as it is today, right? Talking about this new thing that's in gaming that Pravan brought up. There's going to be, no matter what, there's going to be some latency involved with that being sent from your computer, the input here, over to that computer in the cloud, and then to the servers that the game is running on that you're connected to with other people that you're competing against. So you're essentially adding an extra hop now. Hop meaning like over the network. It's got to go an extra place first before it actually gets to the game servers. Whereas currently today, it goes directly from your machine to the game servers where other people are connected that you're competing against, right? So that's always like, anytime you're introducing extra hops into the whole traversal of your packets for sending your commands of what your player is doing in the game, that's going to add, like, just think about like more distance travel is going to take more time, no matter what. So I don't know that you're ever going to get to a point where it's really like people are going to have a competitive advantage that are not playing in the cloud, that game. Panda Person TTV, good to see you. Hi, welcome. Happy to have you here, man. Robert Taylor says, Clark, it blows my mind that this online VS Code thing even works. It's incredible. I know, man. It's nuts. Select the Python interpreter. We're going to go with 3.8. Moscow says, Pravan, there's a lot of problems with real-time games and latency. There's probably no way to render things on the cloud. Monkey says, new type of modulation will fix the latency problem. You think so? Maybe I'm just not. No, fill me in, educate me. Seriously, educate me on this, because like I'm not aware of like this potential with the way the internet works, or the future of the internet and the networking of it. Return to Dust says, I'm sure Amazon is already working on this, especially with owning Twitch. The aliens will give us the answers we need. Moscow says, there's always the limit of the speed of light. You can't beat that. True. Very true. Panda Person says, yeah, increasing routes increases ping, but also if routes are less, there's a chance of the packet to die too. Yeah. Robert Tiff says, Moscow, not with that attitude, we can't. Pravan says, I agree, but imagine the future. The future won't probably have this problem. We'll see. Yeah. Potentially. All right. So, what do you say, chat? Should we just work straight from here? I like the idea of being able to do like a side by side here, where I can pull this out to one window and then what we're learning into another window. Move those side by side. Right, and we'll just hide this editor. Control B. This is the other thing I promise that you'll learn from me, folks. When we're using Visual Studio Code, I share my keyboard shortcuts out loud that do things. So Control B or Command B if you're on a Mac OS, but Control B on Linux and Windows will hide and show that side panel, regardless of what view you have, whether it's the Explorer, Search View, Debug View. It always just hides and shows it, toggles it. So if you need more real estate, bam, right there. The other thing I tend to do is like I like to hide the mini map, because I only turn it on when I really need it, if I'm like reviewing code, that kind of thing, and so forth. Panda Person, are you using Windows 7? No, Windows 10. I'm not myself. Good to see you. Says, in my 30-ish years using computers and earning a living with them, I have seen many impossible things become commonplace. Yeah, yeah, man. That's good. Panda Persons, what are you doing today? I mean, we're learning about Python today, Panda Person. We're continuing our journey in learning Python, that is. And we're going to be adding a login decorator here for our API. Login decorator meaning like we're going to have a route that is protected to say that the request must be authenticated by somebody. Return to Dust says, Fios is much better than my 2600 baud days, in my opinion. That's my imitation of the sounds that used to make dial-up modems. Moscow says it takes about 1 second for light to travel once around the world, rendering it 16 milliseconds per frame. 60 frames per second is impossible then. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we can move on. So this is pretty cool. We can do side by side here, right? So login decorator. We need to create a login required decorator. So we're going to copy and pasta this. Copy and pasta. We need to create a new file. And we're going to call it, I don't know, login. Login decorator. What is the common pattern in practice to name things in Python? Do you do underscore? Maybe. We can rename it if we need to. All right, let's copy pasta this, right? So, and then we'll review what's happening here. So we are, so apparently there's a built-in camel case, Kappa, Moscow. Thank you, Gareth, for the mark. Appreciate it. Panda Person says, why Microsoft throw a buggy update most of the time on the stable OS instead of throwing it on the insider preview? I don't like Windows because of that. You're talking about the updates for the Windows operating system? That I don't have an answer to, Panda Person, man. So whenever I'm running like stable Windows, I haven't run into any problems just yet. I mean, it's not to say I haven't in the past, but at least with Windows 10, I've been all right. But maybe that's part of why my stream crashed earlier. I don't know. But, you know, I'm sorry you've been having troubles with that, Panda Person. Hadjar says underscore in Python. Okay, cool. Thank you. And welcome. Happy to have you here. Folks, I forgot to do this, actually. If you're new to the stream, check out this clip. You'll learn a little bit more. Get the little spiel. I'm very happy to have you here if you're new to the stream. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to chat. Yes, Clark. Okay. I got you, Panda Person. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't have an answer for you. I'm not privy to that kind of stuff. All right, so back to here. So we're going to import func tools from the wraps standard library. And then we're going to, from Flask, we're importing things like G. What is G in Flask? Chat, do you know what G is? Where's my Python folks? Request, redirect, that makes sense. URL 4, right? Like an OG, original gangsta? How can we learn more about that? One way we can do that is we can bring up the terminal. So the way I brought up the terminal here is I did control backtick. That's on Mac, OS, Windows, and Linux. Same keyboard shortcut there. Control backtick. Let's clear this screen. Oh, it's read only. Open a new terminal. Okay. And we can go Python. And then we can go, what is it? Help and G. Can I do that? Dir G. Or you know what I need to do? I need to do like from Flask import G. I can't do that. No module named Flask. Oh, I didn't install anything yet. That's probably why, right? So let's exit, clear, and I need to run. Oh, actually, I thought his script set up to run and install everything I needed. Let's make this big. Really quick, we'll get back to... Hey, thank you so much for the follow, Cake Koas Ninja? KKS Chaos? Chaos Ninja. Oh my gosh, why did I struggle with that so much? I don't have that extension running, actually, Chaos Ninja. Maybe that's a reason why we should probably use the Visual Studio Code on... not online, but we'll see about that. Thank you for your interest in that, though, and welcome. Veron says, so chat, what's your thoughts on... I don't know what that is. Yeah, I had that problem, then I shifted to Linux. LOL, says Panda Person. Yeah. All right, man. So shouldn't we... G is used for storing context. The context can be, for example, a logged in user or database connection. Okay, cool. Thank you, Pravan. So we learned what G is there. But why is it telling me Flask is not available? It should be. Well, let's see if we can just run this as is right now. No module named Flask. Okay. So it didn't actually install that. The environment is not fully set up in this with this dev container. Oh, because he commented out. That's why. Or no, he didn't add it. We got to make sure we add that in here. So how can we do that, right? We do should be what? Pip 3 dash dash version. Make sure we have that. Okay. So we say pip 3 install Flask. Correct? Did that work? Could not install packages due to environment error. Permission denied. Oh, we gotta do sudo. Do we do sudo? Pip 3 install Flask. Okay, there we go. Oh, it wasn't in VNV. All right, so we need to activate the environment. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank. All right, sudo pip 3 uninstall Flask. Can I do that? Yes. Okay, good. Let's do this. Clerk. I try to clear the screen. All right, clerk. Clear with a K. Rashid, says, hi, Clarkio. How are you? I'm doing so well. Thank you for being here, Rashid. How are you? How are things? How have you been? Words are hard for me. Thank you, Gareth, again for doing the mark command. Folks, don't forget, you can get credit for adding to the stream notes by using the exclamation point mark whenever we change the subjects and talk about new things. So, how do I do this again? It's going to be Python 3 v -m venv venv. No, I just need to activate it, right? You think I would have learned this stuff? Clear. Oh, shoot, how do I do this? It's bin activate. Right? Where is the activate? You got to activate the virtual environment, correct? I just do v Python 3 activate. Can't open file activate. Shoot. Source venv bin activate. Ah, oh, thank you, newbie pirate. Let's try that. Source venv /bin /activate. No such file. What you talking about, Willis? Can I open this folder? No, I don't think we can. No. All right, so we need to do, what did we do before this command? We did that. Py3. So this is the thing. He has it in the install script to do that. Oh, which creates the virtual environment. Right. This creates the virtual environment. Now we need to activate it. So we need a command activate venv, and then we're going to install Flask. So we need to update his install script here. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to set up this environment to run the application. Source. Okay, Frank's got it. We got it. Source ./venv /bin /activate. Nope. Is it not there? Let's do ls venv. Let's say bin. Oh, and then we gotta do ls minus l. L, right? No. T. So there's only Python 3 and user bin, right? Chris Jones, hey Clarkio in chat. Hey Chris, good to see you. Coder says find where venv is created. It's created right here. So it's definitely in this /, but it doesn't seem like it has an activate script. Frank says try recreating the virtual environment. Okay, let's do that. Dim Alex 8, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. All right, so let's do Python 3. Actually, what version are we on? Python -- version. pyenv -- versions. So pym didn't get installed. Why didn't that get installed? Oh, no such command. Version. How do I pymv help? Oh boy. pyenv activate. Version system is not okay. Coder says with Python 2 you use virtual environment, with Python 3 you use VNV. Okay. Pyn virtual env. Yeah. Try removing the old one and creating a new one. That's a different story. I don't think I need. I'm with you guys with trying to create a whole new one. I don't want to do that yet because I think it did work. It's just I'm not activating it correctly just yet. Virtual environment is a package that you need to install. I should. Dim Alex, hello. Good to see you. Thank you for being here, and thanks again for that follow. Rashid says, what are you trying to do? Right now, I'm just trying to get my environment set up again. I think we don't have our script that sets up the environment completely, fleshed out to where it's reproducible. New Price says, you can directly use pip env. It's a combination of pyenv and virtual environment, sort of. Wait, I thought JS was the thing we made fun of for versions and packaging it. Carter says, but check if the code is for Python 2. It's definitely for Python 3 because they're incompatible. We created this. So Cecil is my co-host who's normally here on Wednesdays with me. He's not here because he's traveling for work right now. And so we did this on the last two streams where we created this environment and we set up this install script. But I think it's not exactly complete. So I know we wrote this code to run on Python 3. Dim Alex says, I am new to the place of programming. I have just installed the VS Code. I'm writing some code, but I don't know how to run this at terminal like you and all the others. Can you help me? Yeah, for sure. I don't know that we'll necessarily be able to get to it in the stream, but feel free to drop your specific questions if you'd like in the chat. If we can't get to it in the stream, a great place to connect with us are those links that you see from the Stream Elements user there in the chat room, Dim Alex, or so you can connect with me on social media there, or you can go to the Discord server, and I and a bunch of other fine folks here that are part of the community are there, and we'll be able to help. Nick Larson, happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you, Nick Larson. Good to see you, man. How are things? Panda Person says, check this out. Clarkio, geeks4geeks.org, creating Python virtual environments, Windows, Linux. Nick says, good. I'm doing good. I'm glad to hear that. Coder says, then get Python 3. It has... Yeah. So we did. So basically what happened behind the scenes when we created this environment is this script ran. This install sh script ran. What that does is it makes sure that there is no pyenv. Then it goes and installs it using sudo and curl. Then sets it up to be available in the terminal. And then resources, and updates it. Reloads the bash terminal so that it's accessible to run a pyenv command. Then it installs Python version 3.8.1. Then it creates a virtual environment. And then I think what we're missing here as our steps is activating that virtual environment and then installing Flask as a dependency. So that's what we're trying to square away here. Try venv scripts. I don't have scripts. So anything that's in virtual ls.venv, everything that's in there is that. So there's bin, include, lib, lib64, pyenv config. Hadger, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, let me know. Hadger says, I think if the venv was created properly, we should have the activate. Yeah, I think you're right. All right, so let me try running that again. Let's do Python 3 -m venv. Actually, I got to remove that existing one, right? rmrf venv. Okay, so that's gone. So now if I say Python 3 -m, so I want to run the virtual environment module and tell it to create one that's named venv. Failed command. Virtual environment was not created successfully because ensure pip is not available. You need to install Python package using the following. Don't we do that up here? We don't. You may need to use sudo with that command after installing Python venv package, recreate a virtual environment. Okay, so you all were right. A few of you were saying that. Yes, I believe it is Ubuntu. So if I do uname -a, right? Yeah, it's Ubuntu. 1804.01. 1804.1 Ubuntu is the version I'm using of Linux. Write this, Clarkio. Pip install virtual environment. Coder says, yeah, get that VNV package then. Okay. So I'm going to run it. I'm going to add it to the script. Where is it? We need to add this. Copy that. And that needs to go up on here. Should that be installed after Python's installed? Actually, it should be pyenv, right? We need pyenv to install it for us for that environment, or no? You're pronouncing it correctly. I am. Okay, cool. That's awesome to hear. I'm glad to hear that. Chaos Ninja says, doesn't VS Code allow you to choose the environment? I think the Python plugin allows this. That's a good point too, right? So let's see. Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P if you're on a Mac. Python. Create new. What's in here? Environment. Extract variable. What do we got? What do we got? Select interpreter. Select linter. No, I don't think so. In Linux, it's virtual environment. So I think we need to, let's do this. So install venv for Python 3. It's going to be that. Well, it's going to be this. Apt get install that, right? So if we try running this right now, as it suggests, ctext allow. Enter. Could not lock the file, blah, blah, permission to, so I need to do sudo. All right, so let's add that in here. Sudo. You're using an Ubuntu terminal, so write pip install okay, okay. So I need to do pip 3 though. Panda person, virtual env is used with Python 2. They preferred venv with, yeah, so yeah, exactly. I need, doesn't Python 3 come with venv, says Sandwich. Newbie Pirate says virtual environments for Python 2. Okay. And venv is for Python 3. Okay, cool. It's select interpreter. I did that. So I did. I selected this one. Oh, the venv. That one. Oh my goodness. What if I delete this and create a new one? Why didn't that activate it then? Garrett says, would it be worth documenting this as we're doing it in case someone else wants to? Yeah. We're definitely going to do that. So I'm going to go to Cecil's repo, which is over here, and I'll create a PR against this install script. Okay. But thank you for the suggestion. Just keep me honest with that, Gareth. Frank says it comes with venv in most distributions except Ubuntu, says Coder, because Ubuntu likes to separate stuff. I got you. LOL. Okay. Use venv for real. All right, Frank, tell me what's the command I need to run. I'll just listen to you all, chat, instead of dancing around this. And then I'll make sure to add it in here. So we're not going to do this, right? I don't need to do this. Sudo apt-get install Python 3 venv. It should be there when I installed Python 3. Correctamundo. Dang. Already almost gone for an hour here. Well, actually more. Since, check if you have it. venv like that. Or Python 3-venv. Command not found. Replace Terra says pip list. We have, what do we got here? We got click. It's dangerous. What the heck is that? Jinja, markup safe, pip, setup tools, wheel. I think that's because I'm not in the actual virtual environment. Let's do this. Python REPL. Oh, you see this? Pip 3 list. Invalid syntax. Pip 3 is not defined. Oh, exit that. Exit. Ow, exit. I need to activate this environment. So it knows to use that environment. Why am I not seeing it in my prompt though? Panda person says you're in Python mode. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Panda person. Newbie pirate has the correct lines. Okay, sudo apt install python 3-v. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Thank you so much, newbie pirate in chat, for helping me out here. We're learning together. Again, I'm a noob. As newbie pirate's name indicates, I'm a newbie Python developer. All right, so we can't run this until we do sudo apt, not apt get. You're saying apt install python 3-v. And then python 3, this one right here, and then source that. So this is going to create the virtual environment. Then we're going to activate the virtual environment, and then we need to install Flask, which we'll get to that in a second. Noob Sabot says coder. Elkin Forest could see says you selected a new interpreter. Try now the same source command. This one? Oh yeah, let's try it. Good call. Let's try that. What did it do? Crash. No. Is it going to crash things? The browser's locked up right now. Something's happening. Newbie Pirate says both should be fine. That. Hadger says Control Shift quote single quote will open a new terminal with the selected VNV activated. Oh, all right. Let's kill that one. Control Shift. I don't think I know that one. Control Shift backtick, you mean? No, I don't think that keyboard shortcut works for me. Hadger. Coding stocks. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember. I don't think anyone would remember Noob Sabot. I don't think I know that one. Yeah, sorry. All right, I'm just going to run what Newbie Pirate said to run. So we're going to do this one. Yes. Oh, can I do it where it doesn't get prompted like this? Maybe that's part of the problem. Like if I do it as a script, an install script, a bash script, then is it going to prompt and say yes? Do I need to just be like, hey, what do I do for that? You see how it's prompted? Can you see that? Yeah, you can see it. Do you want to continue? You need a -y flag. Okay. Can I put the -y at the end? Is that fine? Let's do, I'm going to do a no, and then I'm going to try running this with -y like that. Clear. That worked. Okay. All right. So now we got that. So now we're going to clear. Oh, you know what? I can't activate that VNV. We need a rm rf VNV. Clear. And then we're going to say python 3 -m VNV VNV. Okay. Did it. Now we say source /VNV bin activate. There we go. All right, so this will make this reproducible environment. Yay, thank you everybody in chat. Parathon says, good to see you, Parathon. Parathon, I mentioned you before because I'm going to be in Seattle next week if you want to meet up, man. I want to meet up again. I got to let Sean know too. All right, so now we need to install Flask. How do we install Flask? Let's go back to here. Forward installation. They have virtual environments. Yeah. Activate it. Install Flask. Pip install. So I could say Python -- version should be 3.5.3. No. Because he installed PyEnv 3.8.1. Why isn't that available then? Does that matter? Chat, does that matter? It should be... It might not be activated. Do we have PyEnv? Yeah, we do. Let's make this bigger again. So PyEnv. Is deactivate init local. Replacing terraces are using the right interpreter. That might be it. Yeah, but even it should be Python 3.8.1. Newbie Part says, read about pip env later. It's the new way of creating reproducible dependencies. Okay, you selected 3.5 from VS Code. Yeah, because that's a virtual environment. So if I do this, then you're telling me there's a chance. Let's delete this one and open a new one. So it's not activated anymore. How do I set it up to where VS Code will automatically use this one? Rob says, you know how else we were Docker Kappa? Yeah, I know, dude. I know. Frank says, Clark, I feel like that whole dev container in it hasn't run, to be honest. You think so? Maybe something went wrong when I created this environment. Seems to me we didn't quite get this right. We're gonna have to work on that. Newbie Pirate says, if you switch it back to Python 3.8 from PyEnv or VS Code and then repeat the same steps for creating a VNV, should work. Switch it back to Python. So the interpreter is on 3.8.0 from PyEnv or VS Code, and then repeat the same steps for creating. All right, so let's make sure I open up a new terminal. VS Code knows I'm using interpreter Python 3.8.0, which for whatever reason it doesn't know about 3.8.1. rm rf venv. Sudo apt get. All right, let's just copy these. This is the easiest way to do it, right? Copy paste, baby. Open this. Before you work on your project, activate the corresponding environment. Then install Flask. Yeah, I'm following along with that. Oh, then it says install. Oh, that's if you're using Python too. Code of Python environments. Thank you all. You're all super helpful. I really appreciate it. Select and activate environment. Python select interpreter. It's not picking up the virtual environment in my folder though, I think. So that's not the right one I want. You need to go to the browser version. No, that's not it either. It's right here. That's the thing that's confusing for me, is like I'm so used to like having the app versus the browser of VS Code. Panda Person says, Clarkio, why aren't you using Sublime Text? I love VS Code, my friend. But I have nothing against Sublime Text. I think it's a great editor too. Coder says, Twitch needs a code pasting capability like Slack. I like that idea, Coder. Python plugin is maintained by Microsoft themselves, so it should work without issues. Yeah. Coder says, why aren't you using ED? I don't know what you mean. You just messing with me? Python 3 hyphen version, please. Python 3 hyphen version. 3.5.3. How is that possible if I chose the interpreter to be that? And I'll prove it. Look, it says it right there, 3.8. So then I run this command and it still says 3.5.3. Delete. Delete. Bring up a terminal. Python 3 version, 3.5.3. LOLED from old Windows command. Oh, edit. Thank you, Chaos Ninja, for explaining. That went over my head. Newbie Pirate says it will pick it up when you create it properly. That's how Microsoft works. Panda person, I work at Microsoft, dude. Dude or dudette. Sitting here ragging on me. Razzing me. VS Online bug, you think? Maybe. Relaunch the shell? Alright, let's see if we do this locally. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get out of the online version. Maybe it is a bug on the online version. And open up Visual Studio Code. And I'm gonna go remote. So this is the installed version. Let's just look at the Remote Explorer. Not containers. Oh, wow. Do I have the extension installed? We can get rid of that now. Talked about that already. Extensions, Visual Studio Online. Right here. You need a link to it. Here's the link chat if you want to check it out. So install that. Okay. So now if I go to the Remote Explorer, VS Online, oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. Not signed in. All right, hold on. How am I not signed in? But it picks up. It picks up that I have that Visual Studio Online instance. You're signed in. Close. Okay. That was quick and easy. All right, so based on my account that I'm signed into, it's a Microsoft account. It will pick up on my virtual, my Visual Studio Online environments. Full Stack Live. Thank you so much for the raid, Full Stack Live. Welcome everybody from Full Stack Live stream. Happy to have you here. If you're new, my name is Brian Clark, aka Clarkio. Check out this clip. Dropped a link to the clip in the chat from Stream Elements there to get acquainted with the stream. Today, you are joining us for this Wednesday stream, which starts at 11 a.m. Eastern every Wednesday, with a few exceptions depending on the schedule, where we learn about Python. And today we're continuing our work on building with the API. And we're going to be adding decorators. We'll get there though. We're still working on some other things. Obsidian, good to see you, bud. Thank you for dropping the emotes. Full Stack Live says, how you doing, Brian? I am doing really well. Thank you so much for asking, Full Stack Live. How are you doing? No snakes in Ireland. Phew. Okay. Panda person says, again, that's how Microsoft work, Kappa. Get out of here, Panda person. Giving me a hard time. Come on now. Got to bounce for a work call. You all behave yourselves. All right, Robert Tables, have a good rest of your day, sir, and hope the call goes well. Full Stack Live says, doing great. Newbie Pirate says, let me go now, work tomorrow. Read about pip env, makes these V environments things way easier. Okay, thank you, Newbie Pirate. Appreciate your help and assistance on this. Robert Tables says, I'll keep an eye on chat. All right, thanks, man. What else did I miss in chat? Okay, we're all good. We're all caught up. All right, so this little icon here is going to say, hey, do you want to connect to that environment? I'm going to say, yes, please. And it's going to basically do, you can see behind me here, setting up remote connection, starting remote server. And there we go. We got everything back. So now I got like all my bells and whistles that I like on my machine anyway, set up in that environment. So if I open up the terminal here, all right, so it is showing me Visual Studio Online, the workspace again. If I say Python 3 hyphen version, it's still showing 3.5.3. But there is no virtual environment now. So I need to... All right, Tofrog, thank you for lurking. Get your lurk on, buddy. Let's look at the install sh that we're modifying. Make this a little smaller. Doesn't need to be so big. Sudo apt-get. Notice how the changes that I was making in the browser are reflecting here, which is nuts. I was a little worried for a second that I might have lost all that work I was copying into the install script. Command not found. Dad not found. You know, it didn't ask me to... It didn't ask me to activate an interpreter in here. Python select interpreter. There we go. This is all on my local machine. All of this stuff. Cecil. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you for the follow. All right, let's step through this again, right? All right, pyenv is there. Pyenv install 3.8.1. I feel like it didn't get installed. That's probably part of something happened. Wait, you need to do Python 3.8 instead of 3? I don't think it was actually installed. All right, while that's installing, I need to go use the restroom. Bio break. I'm going to put up the BRB screen while I'm on a break here. Feel free to play some of the sound effects. If you're not sure what sound effects are available to you, there's a link in chat from the Stream Element spot. Be right back.
Dragons! Well, doggy.
And we're back. Okay. Nasal Eric says, holy shit, that FBI sound effect scared me. Sorry. Wait, potato? Potato. What else did we get here? I thought you were on Linux. Nope. I'm on Windows. Linux is the environment that this is running in. Let me go back to like the Visual Studio Online environment that I'm running in. Yeah, there you go. So I'm actively developing in Linux, but remotely from a Windows machine. Now, that's what I'm doing now, whereas before I was in the browser doing that. All right, so Python 3 was installed. PyEnv local 3.8.1, right? So PyEnv, what is the listing here? Damn, I thought I broke. Hold on, let me do really quick. So keyboard shortcuts, let's actually Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P in Visual Studio Code. We'll bring up the command palette, and I want to look up my keyboard shortcuts, and I want to find one that's for panel size. Panel. I hovered over this little icon here, this little up chevron kind of thing, and panel size. It's called panel size. Right. Panel, anything around the panel. View toggle panel, which is Control J, so that will hide and show this bottom panel. But there's one to like expand and like that to full screen, and then not. So I had a keyboard shortcut. I think it's on my other machine that will toggle maximize panel, right? And so what I did for this is I added a keyboard shortcut Control Shift J. Enter. So now I could go like this, toggle it full screen or not full screen. Because a lot of times, like if you're just working in the terminal in the bottom there, you kind of want to be able to see that better. Anyway, fun little tip. Again, to recap what I just did there, Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P. Bring up the command palette. I typed in keyboard shortcuts. You do preferences, that first one right there, preferences, open keyboard shortcuts. It brings you to this view. And in the top text bar here, text input field, you can type in the name of the commands that you want to do. And the way I figured that out was like I hovered over this and it says maximize panel size. So I knew it was something with the panel. So I call it panel. And then I looked for these are all the commands that are available here. And I found the one that's toggle maximize panel. It didn't have a key binding associated to it. So I clicked the little edit button and then I enter in the keyboard shortcut I want to use for that and hit enter after that. And that saves it. So there you go. Fun little tip. Thought the dog was going to try and want to go out here. He was nudging me. Time to get back to work. Good luck with Flask. Thank you, Coder. I appreciate the help. Seriously. Chair, I'm going to need you to take over, actually, Chair. So I can let Bauer out. Be right back. Hey, everybody, it's me, Chair. Let's see if I'll have some better luck with this Python thing, but in the meantime, just watch me dance to the music. Yo, yo, yo! Chair's in the house! Watch this. I'm Chair. I'm gonna figure this out for Clark, yo. PyEnv commands, Control-Shift-J. Let's see all these commands. Configure the shell environment for PyEnv. Set or show the shell-specific Python version. Activate. PyEnv activate. PyEnv activate. Version 3.8.1 is now activated via PyEnv. Chair is taking over. Yes, full stack live. How is it moving continuously, Panda Person? The world may never know. I'm a chair that has come to life on the Clarkio channel. I'm the backbone and support system of this channel. If it wasn't for me, there probably wouldn't be a stream. Because I am Chair. Welcome. Vote for Chair, sub to Chair. Cheer to Chair. Chair cheers are the best kind of cheers. Follow for Chair. Turn on notifications for Chair. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so now we should be able to say Python -- version. Yay! Full stack says allowing chair access to the keyboard is a huge error. Get it? But Eric says I like the new host. Yeah, you know it. I am way better than Clarkio. So do we need to do that instead? Or do we need to activate this virtual environment? Do we even need a virtual environment? We don't need a virtual environment. I think this is silly. So now I should have access to pip. See what version that is. Sure, that works, yep. So we need pyenv activate after we install 3.8. If I open up a new instance of the terminal, it's 3.8.1 always now. That's what we needed. So we need to activate Python 3.8.1 pyenv activate 3.8.1, and then we can install with pip Flask. Pip install, right? My voice is cracking up, Panda Person. Panda Person says, yeah, better than Clarkio. I agree. I'm with you on that. Okay, so Flask here. All we gotta do is this. Let's add that to the script. And actually run it in here in the terminal. Bam! So now we should have everything we need in the script to really do this. We were missing, so note to self. Oh my gosh, Clarkio's coming back. Vote for chair. What's up, everybody? Was chair behaving themselves? Panda Person, I'm right here. What you talking about? Ado Zima says, this is what I get for leaving for 10 minutes. Haha. It's true. It's true, Austin. Chaos Ninja, what's up? I'm so sorry. What face? This chair is smarter than... It is smarter than Clarkio. Did you notice how chair fixed my code, the script for me? So we're going to... Let's step through and recap what's going on here, right? So we originally had pyenv install 3.8.1, right? So that's going to install Python 3.8.1. But then we need to activate that for the environment. Then we originally were doing stuff with virtual environment, but like we really don't need that. Like you do virtual environment if you're working on your local machine, but we're in a remote environment. We're good. Hashtag chair 2020 says Obsidian Talent. Yeah. Panda Person says it installed till Flask. Yeah. Wait, what? Did I miss something? We should have Flask now. So now I should be able to just run this thing, right? So pyenv activate version, the Python version that we want, and then pip install in that context, that environment. Chaos Ninja says, are you sure about 3.8.1? That is the latest version of Python. Yeah. I mean, this is just a side, like, fun project that we're learning, right? It's not really anything we're going to production with. It's not something like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about that. Why? Are there problems already with 3.8.1? Or, I mean, it's 3.8 and a patch. There's already been a patch applied to it, right? So I assume it's been kind of vetted to some degree. Correct? Fill me in, Chaos Ninja. Again, I'm a noob to Python, so, like, those of you that are more familiar with this kind of stuff, you know, fill me in. All right, so we should be good now to where we can run the main Python file that will run this API. Module not found. Flask. Excellent. Why? It's running. It installed it, didn't it? Is that what you were saying before then? It didn't actually install it? Pip. I mean, we just copy paste it, right? What is it saying? Requirement already satisfied. Everything's there. So if I say pip list, right? There's Flask. Do you have the Python snippets installed on your VS Code? I do not. Panda person. KS says, are you sure about that is the latest? I haven't heard back from you. Yes, KS Ninja. What's up, Des? Good to see you. How you doing? Panda person says, yes, it is. Yes, it installed it. Okay. Velo, what's up, man? Get your lurk on. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. So we got Flask. Flask is there. Why isn't it able to run my app then? Right here. Run that sucker. No module named Flask. You're coding too? Do I need to select the interpreter? Python, select interpreter. This is why. This is why. If I say Python main.py. Warning, this is a development server. Do not use it. Look, it's running. It's running. It's running, chat. So why when I try to run it through the... Let's Control C, stop it. So it's something about with VS Code when I click this, run Python file in terminal. No module named Flask. It's not picking up... Oh, look, see, it's picking up that Python. It's strange. Does it work? Ship it, Kappa. Thanks. Elkin Force says, one line mistake from Flask to Flask. This one? Frickin' fig? Oh, I see now. Good call. Good call, Chaos Ninja. That's why. I need to select an interpreter. Why isn't it picking up that interpreter? This is the problem. It's not finding it. Which Python? Can I undo what I did? We do that. Come back in here and I tell it. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! Now it's got it. That was weird. So if I come back here now and try it. Yeah! Yeah, boy! We did it. Hey, thank you for the follow. 103-214-2141. Python path is set when interpreter is selected. Yeah. Clap, clap, clap. Applause, applause, applause. Is what I believe you're looking for. Thank you for the follow, D-Rod. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Unlurk, Toefrog. Okay. Return JSONify. Hello. That's on path. Okay. So I don't think we can. If I go to my browser and I go localhost 5000. Oh my gosh, it works. Look at that. Hello from, and let me show you that it actually works here. Let's go side by side. Right? And if I change this to, actually it's not gonna, will it pick up changes that I make? Twitch. Sure, install that. I gotta stop and restart it. Restart it. And I refresh this. There you go, it says Twitch now. All right, so we're up and running. It only took us a good hour and a half. Parathon says, okay, so does it work in the browser now too, or did we find an actual buggy thing? Good question. Let's check on that. So we're going to go to online.visualstudio.com/login. And let's make this bigger. And let's click into that. Doom, 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 doom. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Well, it's probably all set up now, right? Python -- version. Okay. And let's go Python interpreter. Select interpreter. It doesn't show it here. These are all cached, it says. But if we go into, let's move this. Activity bar. Toggle activity bar. Not visibility. Toggle sidebar. Position. I want it on the right side. I like it over on the right side. Did you see what I did there? Bring up the command palette, Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P if you're on Mac OS. Control-Shift-P on Windows and Linux. And then I type in toggle sidebar. Right, that whole thing, which includes this view and the activity bar, which is like that side panel as well. That's all sidebar. That's what that component is in Visual Studio Code. You can move that to that side or the other. And yeah, okay. Panda Person says, did you try doing JSONify? No, not yet. Not yet. I don't know where we're going to do that just yet. But so now if I open up main py and I try to run that, I'll address already in use. That's because I'm running it here. So let's stop this and let's try that again. It's working. Yeah, buddy. I control click. Oh my goodness. So it's nothing buggy about Visual Studio Online. It's just the way I set up my environment. My bad. All right, chat. So we got it. We got past it. Yay. Mark finished fixing the environment, and now moving on to the login decorator again. There we go. All right, so I'm going to stop this. I'm just going to keep working with my instance of Visual Studio Code, but know that you can work in the browser or you know, or on your local machine here. All right, so I'm gonna make this a bit bigger. Why can't I make you? That was weird. It was like locked into. I want to move that there, and I want to move that there. And let's clear this. Get rid of that breakpoint. So what I want to do is I want to say like let's set it up so that this one needs a login, right? So let's get back to the documentation of Vue Decorator. So we copied this code and we're going to look at that code, login decorator. So we're using func tools from wraps. We're using, from func tools we're using wraps, and from Flask we're using G request redirect URL for. And I believe it was Pravan that was letting us know that G is about capturing the context of requests that come in. So it looks like it's a local proxy type too. So we're going to define a function that's going to basically define the decorator we're creating. It's which receives a function that gets passed into it. It's going to wrap that function with F, and then it's going to say, all right, let's define the decorator function. It gets in args, keyword arguments. If g.user is none, return redirect URL for login. Next equals request.url. Otherwise, return the function itself, and then relaying along the arguments and keyword arguments that were provided to it, and return that decorated function. Okay, very interesting. So if there's a user in the context of the request, if there isn't a user in the context of the request, we're going to do this. If there is a user, we're going to just do the regular function. So it's kind of guard logic, what we consider. Panda Person TV says, when you do hello world for the first time and you get happy, that's what's happening to Clarkio right now. Yeah, that's me. That's me, friends. All right, to use the decorator and apply it as innermost decorator to a view function when applying further decorator. Oh, okay, so it has to be, it gets done in order, I guess, huh? So now we're going to do this. And so for like this one, we're going to say login is required. Yes, I've already installed it, haven't I? Okay. So note, so let's learn some more about what's being used in here. Like this was confusing to me. Next equals request.url. So they're saying the next value will exist in request.args after a get request for the login page. You'll have to pass it along. Do I need to create a login page then, that means? Let's do that. Whoa, what is that song? Hey, thank you for the follow, Ganesh. Appreciate it. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I'm not, please feel free to correct me on that. You'll have to pass it along when sending the post request from the login form. You can do this with a hidden input tag, and then retrieve it from the request form. Yeah, language. Reddy says that don't sound good. What don't sound good? The song? Yeah. The IRL repost, I mean. I'm sorry, Reddy. I'm not quite following. The IRL repost. What's the IRL? What do you mean the IRL repost? Am I missing something here? Could you elaborate more, Reddy? I'm sorry. All right, so I'm not quite following this, honestly. When applying for the decorators, always remember that route decorator is the outermost. Okay, so that's good to know. So I guess all I need to do now is at the top here, we're going to say from login decorator import login required. All right, and we're saying here that this one requires a login. So how does it know? Mergin, thank you so much for the follow. How does it know? How does this context get set then? What's expected to be part of the request to make somebody logged in? Right, I could create another page that does a login form, which is fine. We can do that, but do they have more? Security, maybe? No. Authentication? Nope. Project layout, blueprints, views, static files, make the project installable. Well, well, well. Oh, logging in and out. Why didn't that get picked up? The majority of the functionality of our application is only available for the administrative user, so we need a way to log our test client in and out of the application. Yep. Reddy says, me, just machinist. I fall back to mining. Find room anyways. I'm sorry, Reddy. I'm not understanding what you're saying, bud. All right, so add the following two functions to your that. Where's client coming from here? Whoa, whoa. This is for testing. Where does somebody set up logging in the first place? Logging in. And now in testing Flask application. Define and access the database. Flasker. What does Flasker do? Flasker will have two. Oh, it's a blueprint thing. This is kind of interesting. First view register. Okay, let's do it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Blueprint route register. Oh. All right, let's back up. Blueprints and views. A view function is the code you write to respond to requests to your application. Flask uses a pattern to match the incoming request URL to the view that should handle it. The view returns data that Flask turns into an outgoing response. Okay, Flask can also go the other direction and generate a URL to a view based on its name. So create a blueprint. A blueprint is a way to organize a group of related views in other code. Rather than registering views in other code directly with an application, they are registered with a blueprint. The blueprint is registered with the application when it is available in the factory function. Flasker will have two blueprints, one for authentication functions and one for the blog post functions. Okay. The code for each blueprint will go in a separate module. Since the blog needs to know about authentication, you'll write the authentication one first. Okay. All right, let's see if we can copy this. Flasker / authpy. All right, so we'll call this authpy. And in here, we're going to copy and paste. So we're importing func tools. Then we're also importing from Flask blueprint, flash g, da 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 da. Why has this got so many spaces on it? That's weird. Oh, it's just the way the indentation is working. From Flasker db, import get db. I don't think we need a db. We're just going to fake it in memory. So we'll probably get rid of that. So now that we have that, we're creating a blueprint named auth, like the application object. The blueprint needs to know where it's defined. So dunder name is passed as the second argument. Okay. And the URL prefix will be prepended to all the URLs associated with the blueprint auth, right? So we're going to have like localhost 5000 / auth / login, right? Import and register the blueprint from the factory using app.register.blueprint. So I need to do this in my main.py when I init. So in here, where am I creating the app again? Right there. So I can come up here and I can move that down, right? Chaos Ninja says maybe you need this quick start sessions. Try that out. Thank you for sharing. In addition to the request object, there is also a second object called session, which allows you to store information specific to a user from one request to the next. Yep, I think you're right, Chaos Ninja. Thank you so much. This is implemented on top of cookies for you and signs the cookies cryptographically. All right. What this means is that the user could look at the contents of your cookie but not modify it unless they know the secret key using for sign. Okay. In order to use sessions, you have to set a secret key. Here is how sessions work. All right. So we got Flask again. Set the secret key. Let's do that. App.secretKey equals right? Let's just make something up. Let's create a route called login. We got the main route. That's the hello one, right? And then we need one for logout. Nothing like copy and paste in code. So this is really interesting, right? So what's interesting to me here is you can return HTML as a string. And like Flask is just gonna do that for you. We're gonna say URL for hello. I guess we should rename this, or just let's create an index. No, just call this hello, right? So we're gonna make this specific to our application that we've already built. So basically, if request method equals post session. Hey, JustWeb, good to see you. Thank you for changing the bulb color. Request method equals post on the login. Get the session username, request form username, and then return back to the home page. Otherwise, return this. There's no closing p tags. Why is that? Do you not need to close the You should have to close this, right? Well, I guess let's just see how it works from there. All right, so now that we have that, let's not put the login decorator in just yet.
FBI, open up!
I think it should be fine, actually. Let's see. Attempted relative import with no known parent package, it says. Main line 5. Import from auth. Oh, let's get rid of that. We don't need that just yet. All right, so she's running again. We refresh this. And if I go /login, aha. I don't know, what is this field again? Username? Let's say Clarkio. And click login. Internal server error. Uh-oh. Name session is not defined. What's up, Valcob? How you doing, man? Sessions. How do I get sessions? Oh, I forgot to do this. Session. Plus, we already have requests, so we could just grab escape session. You all catch that? You're watching me actively debug this. I'm looking at the output here, and it's saying name error, name session is not defined. And that's because I was like, oh, wait, all right, where is that in my code? It is right here. Where is that coming from? It's coming from what's being imported. It's a module in Flask as part of Flask. So we need to import that. I forgot to do that, and now I have it. So now we can Control-C, clear, and restart this. It's running again. Go back to the login, try to log in. All right. So I think we're logged in. Let's look at some things here. So I brought up the developer tools in my browser. I'm using Chrome here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And we're going to want to look at application. And they mentioned in the documentation that there's cookies for localhost. And there we go. We have a session cookie, and the value of it is some cryptographic thing, right? Vigo Studio, good to see you. Hi, how are things by you? codesillystuff says, is there a nodemon type program for Python that will restart the app when you edit the py file? Potentially, I think so. I don't know of it offhand, but also I think if I actively debug this, VS Code will do it for me. Let's see. So if I come in here and I go like that and I save, maybe not. I don't know, just put this in a div. And I go to login/login. No. So I guess not. Anybody know in chat? codesillystuff's question. Is there a... Yeah, I don't have a breakpoint. That's right, Chaos Ninja. But maybe Chaos Ninja, you can help us out. Is there a way to like with Python, or is there a tool built into Python or a library that you can use that will run the Python file for you and then detect changes and restart the server automatically? Because otherwise I have to like restart manually every time, right? So if I do that, and then I come in here and I refresh, now it has the hello message. Mergin says you have to set development mode on for Flask. Ah, I see. Debug mode is off. How do I... Probably something I can do via VS Code. We're going to say, oh, Flask. We're going to say main.py. All right, so you see what I'm doing? Did you see what? Let me stop this, actually. Let's restart what we're doing here. Hold on, let me make it big screen. Chaos Ninja says it works with static HTML files only. If you're sending HTML directly from code, I don't think it will work. Oh, you could... there's an environment variable called flask_env equals development that you can do, says mergin. Okay. All right, cool. Can you take 2 minutes? No, remind me later, though. All right, so I want to configure... Ooh, no, I don't want that. Let's go in here and get rid of this so we can start fresh. Delete permanently. Yes. Okay. So I come into the debug view in Visual Studio Code, and I can say run and debug. And then I'm going to tell it Flask. Instead of just running a Python file, I'm telling it I want to run a Flask project. It then prompts me to say, hey, what is the path to the application, the main file? So for us, it's main.py. I hit enter, and then debug mode is still off. But let's go back here, and what that ends up doing is I guess it didn't. Click config, back up again. Let's do this again. It creates a launch configuration file. Flask debug, I guess I want it to be 1. Let's stop this. And now you'll notice though, in here, if I expand this a bit more, there's a new different type of play option here where we select which one we want to launch with. I press play. Let's see if that changes. Debug mode is now on. Can you see that? Kind of hidden off the screen here. Hold on. Right there. So debug mode is on. So if I come in here and I change some of my code, let's make this smaller again. And I go la la la. Save. Did that restart it? It says no reload though. And no debugger. But this is saying debug mode on. Maybe there's something else. Chaos Ninja says, do you need debug mode? I think default build task should be good for this. Vigo says watchdog, question mark, maybe. But now you have environment as dev. It says merge and look at the terminal. Yeah, I do see that too. But we can configure that more as well through that launch configuration. Oh, args, no reload, no debugger. We're gonna say false on this right now. Or no, I guess true, right? We'll remove that and just leave it as that. Stop this, clear, rerun. Debugger is active. Debugger pin, what does that mean? Restarting with stat. Okay, so now if I make changes to my code. Yay, we did it. We figured it out. Clip that. So in Visual Studio Code, basically the way it's launching it, right, is look at this. So it's using the Python, the instance of Python that we installed in the environment, 3.8.1. It's saying to run some type via the Python extension in VS Code, this launcher, and it passes some arguments: default, client, host, localhost, the port. I think that's based on like what it's going to proxy the port to be, so that we can connect to it remotely from my local machine and have this localhost 5000 available. And then it's saying run the module Flask run, and then it passes those arguments that we saw before into it. Right? It says, hey, well, look at this. It's setting up environment variables too, which that happened right up here. Main Flask app, Flask env, Flask debug. Right? You with me? You with me, chat? And that helped us out in getting it all to rerun. Before by default it said like no, let's see, it said no debugger, no reload. So I guess you just remove those arguments. These are arguments specific to the Flask CLI that's being used. Imagine there's probably, let's go back in here, Flask documentation. Do they have their CLI debug mode? That might be it. Export Flask development, Flask run. All right, so let's learn a little bit more about this. What is this? The Flask script is a nice start to a local development server, but you would have to restart it manually after each change to your code. That is not very nice, and Flask can do better. If you enable debug support, the server will reload itself on code changes. That's interesting. It wasn't doing that even though. Flask env instead as a development before running the server. On Windows, you need to use set instead of export. Yep. It activates. So what this does is it activates the debugger, activates the automatic reloader. You know, it must be something specific to VS Code. Let's try this actually. So let's do, we'll just say Flask env equals development end Flask run. Probably run main.py. Got unexpected extra argument main py. Flask run. Oops. Let's clear the screen so y'all can see. Control J. Flask run help. Dash help. Host. Cert. Extra files. How do I tell it what's the main file? Well, I guess how were we doing it before? No, that's not it. Chaos Ninja says just Flask run, right? When I tried doing that, I seem to think this is the error. Could not locate a Flask application. You did not provide the Flask app environment. Okay. And Flask underscore app equals main.py Flask run. Oh, I did. Oh, I guess that worked. Hey, it worked. But it says debug mode off. All right, so it's running. If I come in here, Control Shift J, and now I change my code again, and save it. I don't think this documentation matches up. Because they're saying is if you do this, it will do that restarting for you. Activates the debugger, and it activates the automatic reloader. That didn't happen. Something up with Flask there, right? Am I missing something? Even though the interactive debugger does not work in forking environments, which makes it nearly impossible to use on productions, it still allows the execution of arbitrary debugger in action. No, you lied to me. You're lying to me, Flask. Documentation. It's not restarting automatically for me. Yeah, I got that, the Flask app name merging. I got that set up. So it is running. Like, look, we see it running on. Let's go back here. I think Bauer. I gotta let Bauer in. Hold on. What time is it? Holy moly, it's 1:30. Thank you for petting Bauer, Obsidian Town. The command used by VS Code. All right, let's see. Let's stop this and let's run it like we're running in VS Code. They... See, they're using some... whatever this is, some launcher. They say env Flask app main py Flask env development Flask debug 1. You know? I don't know what the difference is, but well, whatever. Let's not spend too much time on it. I guess we're doing something wrong, or the documentation is wrong with Flask that we can't run it directly. In any case, we got it. We get rid of these with the VS Code launcher, and that's just how we'll run it from now on. Nodemon. codesillystuff says, I think he was typing the commands in CLI. Nodemon, execute Python version v. Yeah. That is an option. Really? Nodemon will monitor a Python file for changes? That's crazy. Codesillystuff says another option is to use Nodemon. I like what you're researching, but this is another option just in case. Okay, thanks for sharing, Codesillystuff. That's interesting. I didn't know Nodemon would support running a Python app and detecting that too. That's wow. That's cool. Codesillystuff says it monitors all files, which is a pain if you have a log file because it'll keep. Yeah. Huggin18, good to see you, says, what OS are you using on Windows? You can set environment variables. Yeah, so I'm using Windows. Well, in this particular environment, I'm running my host machine that I'm streaming from and running my instance of VS Code on is a Windows machine, but I'm connected to an Ubuntu environment. So what I was running before, like this should be fine. I'm like right before I run the command, I say, hey, Flask env environment variable is development, end Flask app is that, and you know, like end Flask run. Now it's saying it can't locate LS. There's a main pie there for sure. Oh, because I did end. I could just actually do spaces, right? Oh, maybe that's why. Oh, that's what I was doing wrong. I had the 2 ampersands in there. So this environment variable wasn't actually getting set first. That's silly of me. So now if I come here, I refresh, it's good. If I change some of my code and save it, it detected change in that. Yep, okay. That's what I was doing wrong. My bad, my bad. So you got to do it like this. Set your environment variables, just spaces between them, and then run Flask run. And you're done. Bingo. There we go. All right, so now we know. Either way, we can run it like that. All right, sweet. Let's get back to the tutorial here. Sessions, that's what we were doing, right? So once somebody's logged in here, the escape mentioned here does escaping for you if you're not using the template engine, as in this example. Where is that? Session.pop. Okay, cool. So, I guess my question is this, right? Who was this that shared this with me? Somebody, Chaos Ninja, it was you that pointed me to this documentation on sessions from Flask? I guess let's try this now. Let's do this. Let's, we have our login required. Let's see if this works. Is it running? No. Close that. Let's run it. Run and debug. And let's see if we can make a request to this. This one, we have it guarded by our login required decorator, right? So let's see if we can hit this breakpoint. So I'm going to come in here, see if we have a session anymore. It looks like we do. So let's see if we can say Twitch and then Clarkio. Ah! Attribute error. Object has no attribute user. G.user. Whoa. Let's make this a bit smaller. Home views PH version app.py. App.py, that's not me. Where's my code? Local py. The debugger caught an exception. Brought to you by Don't Panic, your friendly workzug powered traceback interpreter. Okay, cool, cool. So object has no attribute user. That's in our login decorator right here. So it's like undefined. I thought it is none. Like what? Let's put a breakpoint here, I guess. Go back. Black Space Mirror, good to see you. Says hi, good to meet you. Good to meet you as well. Thank you for joining. If you're new to the stream, check out this clip from Stream Elements that I made. Right there. Chaos Ninjas, maybe 2 examples got mixed up. You were trying to implement a simple login, right? Well, I was trying to implement a login and then have this login decorator to protect an endpoint here, which is this one. So basically, if somebody tries to make this request to show the Twitch user name, like let's say it's a profile page, they need to be logged in order to view that page. So we created this login decorator following the documentation from Flask that's looking for g.user. And I assumed, Chaos Ninja, that documentation that we're looking at here helps with setting that. Maybe I need to, on the server side, set that session. I wonder. So if we go into our login, well, let's import G from Flask here, right? G. Yeah. Why is it indenting like that? This is so weird to me, that indentation. I don't like it. So can I access G here? G dot What can I do off of G here? These are all functions I'm not supposed to use, I think, right? Get current object, return to current object. This is useful. You want the real object behind the proxy. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so session is different from G variable, I think. Black Space Mirror says I'm loving the cursive and code. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm using this font, Black Space Mirror. And the theme I'm using supports cursive fonts, so this is my theme too. If you're interested. Maybe I'll change this to be like if session. Get rid of G. Say session. So if Danny Cron 5, thank you for the follow. So let's kind of comment that out and then say if session, and then what were we saying over here? Session username. Is none. Do this. Maybe that's what we want. Let's try that. Let's restart. Or it's already restarting. Dang it, I forgot. Black Space Mirror says, I look forward to the day auto mechanics can have cursive in their diagnostics. Nice, okay. Huggin18 says, you can also use login required from Flask login unless implementing this from scratch is the goal. Oh. I didn't know I didn't get away. Like, I didn't know there was something built in already. What are you doing, Bauer? There's something built in? Black Space Mirror says, all data and Modus and some app maker. All this is beautiful. Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that. Sure, let's refresh this. Let's go. Whoa. Now I have an error here. You want Bauer Tofrog? All right, hold on. Give me a minute. Let me check this. Why is there an exception? Where is this in my code? Invalid syntax. Line 21. Main.py. Oh. Let's refresh that. Did that restart it automatically? Thank you for the follow, Black Space Mirror. Appreciate it. Bauer, come here. People want to see you. Up. Good boy. It's Bauer! Hi. You're a good dog. Are you a good dog?
Wow.
Yes. He's giving me this look, like he gives this side eye, like, what do you want from me? Alright, lay down. Lay down. Good boy. You're a good boy. Thank you for the howls, everybody. Tofrog, thank you for petting Bauer.
Who let the dogs out?
I think when it errors out like this, I gotta restart, right? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, no, I don't. Sweet. Sassy molassy. Okay, so we're gonna go log out. Build error. Oh, because logout's probably written wrong. Where's my logout? Not index, but hello. Save that. Refresh. Yay, that's working now too. Okay, cool. All right, so now let's go log in. My name is Clarkio. I'm logging in as Clarkio. All right, now I'm logged in. And now if I try to go to the API Twitch, and we'll say, yeah, Cecil. Oh! We did it! Chat, we did it! Woohoo! We're done! We didn't hit this breakpoint though. Why not? Can you not hit a breakpoint inside a decorator? So if I go log out and I try to hit the Cecil page, go /Twitch/Cecil. Aha! Keyword username. Wait, what? No, it should return a message to us. Like it should redirect us to login. Why isn't it doing that? What's the problem? 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 Black Space Mirror says yes. Rob Tails says that darn guy, Mr. Bill Dare. Wait. Catoli. Holy moly, Catoli says hi there. It's good to see you, Catoli. How are things going? Robert Tails, I don't get that reference, my man. I'm sorry. What is this bug? All right, we got one more thing to fix up here. And then we should be rocking and rolling, essentially, to some degree. Like that, this is probably not necessarily the most secure and best way to go about this, but we're learning about, the key here is we're learning about creating decorators, not necessarily like really locking down security-wise this API and application. So I don't know what the bug is here. If I go here and I'm not logged in, can I clear this terminal somehow? The problem is that the session dictionary is empty. Ah. Can I say if session end? Invalid syntax. What is it? End? Shoot, we learned this, didn't we? How do I do multiple conditionals here? Telfrox says, Black Space Mirror, you know that Clarky is never gonna give you up, nor will he let you down. Black Space Mirror says, I haven't used Python debug. How do you feel about it? I'm liking it so far. It's been helpful. What do you think? What have you been, based on what you've been seeing, what do you think of it? Carlos, good to see you, says, the problem is that session dictionary is empty. Use session.get username none. Ah, okay. Let's try that. If session.get, is there such a thing on that? Get? Can I do this? Log out. /Twitch/Cecil. No, that's not working because now I can get access to it even when I'm not logged in. Basically, it's like session needs to be defined and we need to see if session username is none. That's kind of what's happening here. Does this work? Syntax error. How the heck do you do ends in Python? What is the end operator? Gosh, I'm such a noob. Python end operator. How do I not know this? We've learned it. It's end, lowercase end. This is the problem with switching between. This is Cecil's page. No, it's not redirecting me to login. That's wrong. This is wrong. Catching up on chat. Y'all silly says Black Space Mirror. Elkin Forest says in lower capital. Yeah, yep. Thank you, Elkin Forest. Sorry, I didn't see that sooner. Chaos Ninjas, check the login function. Black Space Mirror says I learned from the book a little. Playground for Python. Oh, okay, cool. Chaos Ninjas, maybe it's user there. Here? Print and say session. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, folks. Like, this is the problem when you're actively week in and week out using JavaScript and then you start writing Python. So I'm like, I almost wrote console log, right? I was going like this and I was like, wait, this is Python, printf, print And then we could say F session is, and then like that, right? Secure cookie session is the type, and the object is empty. Why don't I see? I'm thinking about what is available on this thing. Am I supposed to call these dunder fields? Am I allowed to? Like get attribute? Name. Username. Maybe that's what I need. The username is, let's do that. Oh, let's do this. Username equals this. Whoops. Oh, it's going to equal session.get username, and we're going to print the username. Save. Okay, so what is with the indentation of all this now? Weird formatting. Session dot. Invalid syntax. What? D-Rod says, is it because your parameter to login required is F? Should it be session? Just guessing. No. So this is, keep in mind here, this is a decorator that we're using here. Where is it? I like what you're thinking, where you're thinking there, but so this is the attribute we're using. We're creating, well, decorator, sorry, attribute is the term in other languages. So you use this decorator on top of this function. Basically what we're saying is that when a request comes in to this function, for this API endpoint, we need to check some things, right? And so part of it is, it's going to be looking like the way Flask, I guess, works under the hood, is it's going to pick up that this is the function this decorator is assigned to, and that's what's getting passed into here. So we're wrapping that function, the definition of the API route, with this function first that we're going to run. And so basically, as far as I understand it, again, I'm a noob to this. Oh gosh. Though maybe that is why. Invalid syntax on this. Is it $? Gosh, I'm thinking of. Well, I'll fix that in a second. Let me finish explaining what's going on here, right? So it'll pick up all the arguments and keyword arguments that are passed into that underlying function, and I can use them in here as this decorator. And then I'm basically, so what I'm doing, the purpose of this one right now, this is our first decorator that we're creating, and it's like a good example of a decorator you might want to use or implement is one for making sure the request has a logged in user. And then you could take it a step further and like, does that logged in user have the permissions needed to make this API request, right? That kind of thing. So we're checking to see if there's a logged in user. If there isn't, then we're going to redirect them back to the login page and be like, no, you can't access this API. Otherwise, if they are logged in, then we just run the API function that's defined for it. So that's what's going on there. D-Rod, I hope that helps. DomFX says, is session none when it's equal to empty curly braces? I believe so, right? Because it's based on truthy and falsy values, the definitions of those. Katoli says, if not username in session. Based on the link Carlos sent. Where's Carlos? Let me open that. Thank you, Carlos. You're being super helpful, man. I appreciate it. Sessions. Can I scroll here? What would you say about that? Do you have session imported? Yes. So it's right here. There's session right there. And then in here, I have session right here. Those are the two modules that I'm using it in. Black Space Mirror says, as for editing, I never used an autocorrect debugger. Oh, okay, cool. All right, fair enough. Does it feel like troubleshooting, or is the human guess better? I think a combination of both, of me troubleshooting things and learning and guessing, right? Valcob suggested and maybe it's lowercase n we learned. Thank you for trying to help out with that. Sorry, chat, I'm just trying to catch up with everybody. Elkin forces now the parentheses in conditional statement are not needed. Good call, good call. It's still complaining about this. Am I placing that incorrectly? I'm forgetting. Okay, so there's another login function, right, which serves HTML for username text box. Yes, that's this part here, right? It's a different route login. We're not worried about that one right now, though. What did you have a specific question around that, Chaos Ninja? Carl says if username in session. Oh, right. Good call, good call. If username, right? That's what we want. So if username is none, is what we're checking. Based on the link Carlos sent. Cloudhawk, good to see, says line 8 has an extra slash. Thank you for that, catching that. I appreciate it. Indentation is probably... Yeah, something's weird with the indentation, the formatting here, right? It's just like wrapping this line for some reason. No, this should be tabbed in. Why isn't... No, I want this. Is that correct? I think that's better, right? Indentation error. Oh, attribute error. Object has no attribute username. Line 9. Why is it throwing an error for that? Why wouldn't it just be like, hey, this is none? So when I do it like this, that seemed to work before, right? Key error. Key error. Username. So basically, if the key doesn't exist, it throws an error. That's what seems to be the behavior here, right? So one way we could do is, I guess we could wrap it in... What's the safe way to get from a dictionary, right? Because that's what session seems to be. It's like a higher level dictionary. What's the safe way to get a key, a value of a key, even if the key doesn't exist in that dictionary? My Python folks, what do you think? Chaos Ninjas, there's a function serving the login route. I think the bug is there. No, not yet. So I'm intentionally trying to access the route where I'm not logged in right now. And I'm expecting to get redirected to the login page, and that's... And we could see here, based on the errors that are being propagated into the response, saying key error username, and then I'm looking in the debug output here in the terminal of Visual Studio Code where I'm running the app, and it's telling me that local proxy object has no attribute username, which is on line 9 of login_decorator.py, which is right here. Black Space Mirror says Decorator makes classes into objects. That's fun. Yeah. DomFX says if that's the case, then your if statement wouldn't work. Okay. If session end session was none in that case, yeah. Black Space Mirror says may I post a link? Sure. Whether I click on it or not is another thing though, so just a heads up on that. Okay, there's a fucking did that. Maniac says, do you use another language for web programming? Yeah, I typically use Node.js JavaScript. So Python is new to me. We've been learning it with my co-host Cecil, who's not here today. He's busy traveling, wasn't able to join us. And so I'm taking the reins today. DomFX says, your indentation is wrong on the print statement. It is? Is that still the case, or am I just way behind on chat right now? Your indentation for username variable is off. Hopefully no one's actual name is none. Yeah, true. That helps you. Python programming decorator. Okay, I'll check that out. Thank you for the follow, Maniac. Appreciate it. Totally says I sent you a code example. Hope it helps. Let me see. If not username in session. Oh. In session. Return redirect. Otherwise do that. Okay. Indentation error. Yay! Catoli saves the day, my man. Good stuff. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Elkin Forces, how can you get a value of a key that doesn't exist? Yeah. Well, I thought there might be, like, again, this is part of the problem is, folks, I'm coming from JavaScript world, right? And in JavaScript, I can safely just go like, hey, you know, some variable, you know, username equals, you know, like the session, and then I could say like dot username, right? And if this doesn't exist on the session, then it will just say this is, it'll assign it to a value of, you know, username. Let's say this is it, like username actually equals undefined, right? That's the value of it if there is no username on the session, right? So I was like, what is a safe way to do that with Python? Like where you have a dictionary and you want to get, because it's really like a JSON object, right? And you just want to get the value of a key, but if the key doesn't exist, it's okay. We're not going to throw an error. It's bad. It's my habits and patterns that I'm used to in JavaScript world that I'm like trying to either get my mind out of that because it's not really proper in Python, or learn of the way to do that in Python is kind of what's happening. Blue Wyvern 82, thank you so much for that follow. That means a lot. codesillystuff says username dictionary.get username. D-Rut says for key value in session items. Print key value. Okay. From best practices, codesillystuff. Could you just tell me what that says? Really quick? Or is that what your code before that was? Username equals dictionary.get. Codesillystuff says username equals session.get. I didn't think, because like here's the thing, if I do that, so let's try that. Username equals session.get. It didn't seem to have, like when I, IntelliSense wise, right? It doesn't seem to pick up that there's a get function. You know? Username, comma, dot, dot. And let's say print f. Here is the username. Right? Maniac, yeah, no problem for helping to answer. So I guess that's a good point to stop here for a second in regards to like responding to you all. If you're new to the stream, the other thing, I don't know if I talk about this in my clip that I have. Here's the clip that I'm talking about for when people are new. If you're new to the stream, this is a very like educational purpose channel, fun, entertaining, you know, try to be entertaining. Although right now I'm just in super serious focus mode, to be honest with you. But also like warm and welcoming channel to anybody, for people that have come from various levels of experience and backgrounds in development. So especially the Python one, it's focused to be extremely beginner friendly. Like, what is a variable? You know, that kind of level. So, and then the other thing is, just generally speaking, on all my streams that I do, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm all about, like, you all are so kind to spend time with me. You know, I'm a remote worker, so I appreciate the company. But then on top of it, you're kind enough to like send me messages in the chat room. I make it a strong effort to get to everybody's message in chat and respond to everything. So if I do miss your message, it is absolutely not me ignoring you. It's just a matter of like, sometimes things get a little unwieldy and I can't keep up. So just feel free to send it again and then tag my username at Clarkio, and it'll show up in red and it'll really catch my attention. So I don't mind if you send the same message twice, kind of thing, just, you know, because I missed it, right? So I know what it's like to be ignored. Like, you go into somebody's stream and you're just trying to interact with them and like get acquainted with the community environment there on that channel. And they're just like, you can tell when they read your message too, a lot of times. And they just like, you know, look the other way. You know, it happens. I'm sure it happens to a lot of us. It's happened before, at least once, right? And like, that feeling sucks. I know that feeling, and I don't want that on my channel. So that's what I'm going for. Black Space Mirror says, have a good day. Got to go back to work. Love and peace. All right, right back at you, Black Space Mirror. Appreciate you being here and chatting with me. Maniac says, I think stream has a lot rate. What you mean, Maniac? codesillystuff says, you use username equals session, not get username. Why was that wrong? I don't know. Well, I don't know that it's wrong, but the thing is, like, so the Python extension for Visual Studio Code will give me what's called IntelliSense, right? So I do dot, and it's like, hey, here's all the things that we know about this session thing in Python. And when I try to type and find get, it says get current object, get attribute, attr, get, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to use these things too. Whenever there's the double underscore like that, aka dunder, I don't know if I'm actually supposed to use those functions on a, like, that always, at least in other programming languages, whenever you prefix something with an underscore, it's supposed to implement, like, it's supposed to be private, right? That's kind of like, and I'm not supposed to access it. But let's see. Let's go back actually, and let's try to go Twitch. Oh, no. /Twitch/Cecil. Oh, it's not even running anymore. Restart. That was weird. Oh, it's bringing me back. Did a console log? Here is the username. Undefined. So that function does work. Why wouldn't the IntelliSense tell me that? That's unfortunate. It led me to believe there wasn't this function get on the session object. So codesillystuff, you're right. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I was misled. Elkin4 says, maybe if Python returned none to session. So if key username doesn't exist in that dictionary, but I don't know if that does that. Yeah, I'm not sure either. MXGTV, good to see you remote working myself. Yep. Appreciate having you here, and I'm glad I can help keep you company too. Maniac says I got it. Okay, cool. Valcop says, yes, it does. IntelliSense is just bad. Well, I mean, this is like the first time I've ever had that, though, Valcop. And maybe it's just because it's specific to the Python support here. But I have not... Maybe I'm just like, I'm spoiled with, you know, when I do my typical web development that I feel like more confident in, that is with JavaScript. VS Code has just features that are better for that in that regard. That's what I think. Valcop says, yep, you are. I am what? Sorry, I missed what I said there. Maniac says, I think there is some delay in the stream. Yeah, especially if you're on mobile, Maniac. If you're on mobile, the delay is significant. On the web, it's not that bad. Or at least it shouldn't be. Black Ops says it does not know what is a session in that context. Yeah. This is weird. Even though, like, I don't know. I would expect it to know more. What if I did it out here? If I said session dot. See, it doesn't know. It should pick that up from the Flask module. You know what I mean? Flask. If I go to session in here, let's look at the internals from globals. Can I go into that? Control click me. Come on, get in there. Let's just keep looking for session then, I guess. It's the only... Where's globals then? Where is it importing this stuff from? Dot globals. From dot globals import session. Take me to your leader. Where's session? It's dangerous. Maybe in Flask? Yep, there it is. This is called sessions, though. I need session. Site actors. Would it be under session? Totally says, where are you based? Because 3 point something is not that bad for crossing the entire Atlantic Ocean. I'm in Florida. Maniac says, and I have a personal question for you. English isn't my mother language, and how can I improve my English? Well, I'm honestly, Maniac, I'm not necessarily the best person to ask because my main language is English. Like, that's my native language that I learned growing up. And then through schooling, I learned Spanish, but I don't speak it fluently. It's like I have like maybe kindergarten level understanding of Spanish. And I really believe that, like the best, at least I've heard from friends and just people I've come and, networked with, like one of the best ways to really get fluent in a language is to immerse yourself in an environment that's the only language being spoken. So any way you can, like, so that doesn't necessarily mean like having to move somewhere per se, but I think anything you can do to help engulf yourself, surround yourself with people and things that you're reading, hearing, seeing, you know what I mean? That's in that language. The more you get that, the more experience you get that, the more you'll get comfortable with it. But I mean, so far, Maniac, seriously, you've been doing a great job. This is the other thing I want to make sure it's clear too. Like, English, yes, is the primary language here, so that we can all try to use that as the common foundation to communicate with each other. But like, do not feel worried that your English is not good here. As long as your message comes across, what you're trying to say, that's all that matters to, in my mind and from my perspective. So sometimes I might just ask you to like say things a different way to help me understand, but like don't worry about it too much. Like I don't think poorly of you if that's the situation is what I'm trying to get at. Balcop says, Karkio, could you check the globals.py? Where'd you see that? Oh yeah, let's see that. Good call. All right, I'll check that in a second. I want to thank you for the follow, Vadunua. I hope I'm Vadunua. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Let me know. But thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Maniac says, thank you so much. I understood. Okay, cool. Yeah. Cloudhawk says, watch Netflix in English with your native language and subtitles, maybe. Oh yeah, that's a good idea, actually, Cloudhawk. I like that. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. I'm going to try my best to pronounce your name. But feel free to like tell me how to pronounce it correctly, and I will do my best to remember that. Okay, so Quelt Class says, hello, Clarky. I talked to you maybe a year ago, and now my kid is 8 months old. I need sleeping advice from a suave dad like yourself. You know, it's funny you bring that up, and it's good to see you again. Thank you for joining back. And I'm hoping things are going well with you and your family. That's awesome to hear. It's funny you bring that up because I was saying at the beginning of this stream how I'm sleep deprived today because of my 2-year-old kid. She's going through what's called, what we're learning is sleep regressions. Sleep regression, where it's like extremely difficult to get her to go to sleep at night, and then and some nights even, and or both these things, right? That struggle to get her to sleep and stay asleep. So what happened last night is it took a little while, probably like an hour to get her to sleep. Sometimes it's taken 2 hours. It's getting really like time consuming and crazy. Like, and it gets kind of, to be quite honest with you, it's frustrating as a parent because you're like, this is time that we need to like wind down ourselves to get to bed and finish up things for the day before we go to sleep, you know? But, and so last night that happened where I think it was like about an hour to get her to bed. And then around, between midnight and 1 a.m., she woke up again, and I had to go in there and like, you know, help her get back to sleep, pat her on the back. And that was like on and off until 2 a.m. really. So, you need sleeping advice. I just don't try to do as much as you. I think the big thing that I'm struggling with that I need to like learn myself as well is I need to just be like, you know what I got done today is what I got done today. It is what it is. And the time with the family really is important to me. And I need to just like let that be. And so whatever it takes, you know, and then I need to prioritize sleeping too, right? Making it a priority. So what ends up happening, the reason I'm saying that is what ends up happening is I still focus on spending time with the family, right? Like that's not a problem. But like when that's done, then my mind's like, okay, let me go and try and finish up the things that I was hoping to get done today. And it's like, I just can't do that anymore because that's taken away from my sleep even more now, right? On top of like having a kid like that that's going through this. So Peak says this, I hope that helps answer the question. Welt class. And again, I'm sorry about the name pronunciation. Please like correct me. Peak says, does Flask come with session? I found this. Yes, Flask does come with session. Chance Dev, good to see you, says, Clark, I've heard good things about the Kite plugin for VS Code. It supposedly improves autocomplete for Python devs significantly. Oh, interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Kite Python VS Code. Ultimately deeper integration, which is weird because we create the Python extension. We being Microsoft. We're excited to announce that we fully integrate Kite for Python into Visual Studio. See, this was back in 2017 though. Have they updated it since? Chance Dev? Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm very curious about this. We'll check that globals.py in just a second. Valkov. Maniacs, thank you so much. I'm going to try. Okay, cool. Katoli says, English isn't my native language either. And I can say that from my own experience, the best thing you can do is listen to things in English. Go step by step. Don't watch a full movie the first time. And try to write in English-speaking communities. This channel, Discord, for example. Yeah. And remember, don't forget grammar exists. Yeah. That's great advice. Thank you for sharing that, Katoli. Telfrog says, sleep regression is the worst. All caps. I imagine you've gone through it or are going through it, Tofrog, man. It's tough. Like she was going to bed so like easily and just like sleeping soundly at night. Like you didn't have to worry about accidentally like closing a cabinet door a little too loud. She would just sleep through it. And now it's like we're walking on eggshells at night. Valcop says you can start with Friends TV series, nice and easy English with some notes / flavors of fun. Yeah, that's true too. That's cool. Unruly Hotfixer, good to see you, says, I would say no English subtitles because for me, at least in my mind, I would hear English opposed to learning a new language. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you got a good point there. Maniac says, thank you all for good advice. You are so helpful and kind. That's awesome. Okay. Hualt Class says, thanks for the advice. My wife wants us to get another kid, but that does sound like we would get a negative amount of sleep. Do you have multiple kids or will you get it? I do not have multiple kids right now, just the one. But we're definitely getting close to the point of like trying to have another kid. Like we've been having serious consideration for it. Because I mean, we've always wanted more than one kid for one, but this one has been this whole experience with our daughter has been. I mean, in any situation. Like everybody has kind of what in their mind, what they think is involved with it, and have expectations around what it's like having a kid, but it's always different for everybody. And some kids are pretty mellow and chill, and then there's some kids like mine that are a little more, you know, they're just like, they got a very strong personality, and then there's, you know, kids in between that. And so yeah, it's definitely had us. So I don't know, we're waiting, we're getting to the point where I think she's old enough to where things are getting easier, you know, minus the sleep regression thing. Everything else is fantastic, and it's just an amazing experience being a dad with a child this age. And she's super sweet, you know, like she means well. She's learning a lot and like grasping things. But so that's helping motivate us more to like want to have another kid. So maybe you just need to wait. Like, you know, again, everybody, I'm just sharing my experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should do the same thing. Health class, you know? So you got to figure out with you and your significant other, what do you both feel comfortable doing? You know, what makes the most sense for your situation? What's, you know, and is it truly going to make you happier? You know what I mean? Like, do you really need to have another kid? You know, you got to weigh these things. Totally. The subtitles are two-edged sword. They help you get used to some expressions, but you may just focus on them and not listen to the video. Yeah, that's a good point, Katoli. Chat Steph says, I'm not sure about updates. I, like you, am mainly a JS guy. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Chat Steph. I appreciate you offering your help. Black Hat is Mafia says, nip in the bud early on the sleep regression, or just turned 3-year-old is still doing it. It's rough. Oh, man. I hope it doesn't like, from everything we've read, and thank you for sharing that information, Black Hat is Mafia. Everything we've read so far is like, it's just like, it's a phase they go through, and it should stop, right? We're trying. So what, like, Black Hat, what have you, ours just turned 3 years old and is still doing it. It's rough. Yeah. I don't know what have you heard and read about, you know, nipping it in the bud? Because we've been trying, like, I've been trying, like, hey, we're just going to ignore her screaming out for us to come back into the room and try to help her get back to sleep and like let her cry it out. But like, there's times where she's crying like really, I don't know what the right word is, almost like violently crying. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it sounds like it hurts. She's crying so loud and hard and screaming. And it's like hard as a parent to ignore that, you know? I don't know. Sorry, I know, like, so it's so cool to like have this conversation with some of you. And those of you that don't have a kid, I'm sorry if we're, you know, getting a little off track, but this is what happens with this channel. You know, we're here to connect with each other and talk about stuff. And we have made some good progress, at least with Python. We're going to look and see what's going on with the session thing. We'll make sure to get to that. Cloudhawk says, we bought a white noise machine for our kids, helped with the walking on eggshells type thing. Yeah, so we do use that too, Cloudhawk. Somehow it seems like she still hears us though. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But thank you for sharing that. Tofrock says, my kiddo is almost 6. We dealt with the sleep regression issues a few years ago. It would pop out for about a week or so and then go away. We went through that a few times. Yeah, so what it started for us was over the holidays. And I thought, like, you know, being a developer, we try to problem solve and think logically, right? Well, what are the input factors that changed that could have potentially resulted in this output that we're seeing from the kid, right? And so it happened over the holidays. So that her schedule was altered over the holidays. It wasn't the usual schedule when mom and dad are working and she's going to daycare and like what that routine is like. So I have a strong feeling that contributed to the start of this. And it's been on and off. Like, there's some nights where she'll go to bed and sleep through the night fine, but at least a few times a week it's still happening. So I don't know how we get past it. Welt class says, Tofrog, you just need to wait it out, ? Yeah. Unruly hotfix says, I have multiple kids and definitely get little to no sleep at the moment. I hear it gets better. Yeah, I keep hearing. Parathon says, each child is different too. Yep. Yeah. Parathon, how's your youngest doing? Cloudhawk says, I have 2 kids, but sleep is a good bit. My kids sleep really well. Just lucky so far, I guess. Yeah. I now, you know, I'm super, like, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous, Cloudhawk. You know, count your lucky stars. That's all I got to say, man. Tofrock says, you can do things to help, like having a solid nightly routine and making sure you stick to it. But for the most part, you need to take it one step at a time. Yep. That's what we're trying to do. We're also trying to, like, that nightly routine to help with this, and I feel like it's had an impact too. Again, it's all gut feeling, but getting out of the habit of like watching something on TV, having that blue light, you know, after bath time. Like bath time is the cutoff time for any type of show watching or movie watching, and that seems to help. And so what we do is we'll go in her room, we'll start reading books, or we'll play like little, you know, like games where we're writing. She has a little not an etch-a-sketch, but one of those magnetic type of pen board things where you can like erase it by sliding, almost like etch-a-sketch, right? Where you would shake it and draw it, but like you're writing. So we'll like write names and like have her learn to figure out whose name is who and visually recognize that, even though she knows letters like ABCs a little bit, but she doesn't know word spelling just yet, you know, other than her own name that they practice at daycare. So we're doing those types of things to kind of like wind things down at night and have that part of the routine. Black Hat is Mafia says she's our 4th child. She's the only one that has done it this long. Oh, wow. Interesting. Vault Class is Tough Rock sounds amazing. My 8-month wakes up maybe 5 times a night on average. 12 hours. Is that normal or is it acceptable? I think that's normal. Like at that age, I think that's pretty normal. They're still, you know, they're getting hungry overnight. They're having to go to the bathroom. Maybe they got their diaper, you know, has got to be changed, and there's nothing they can do about it. Whereas when they get older, that's not happening as much. They're getting all their fulfillment and food-wise consumption during the day, and it holds them over throughout the night. They're not going to the bathroom as much overnight, that kind of thing. Tofrox says, Clark, you're letting a kid cry it out is way more difficult than it really is, man. Like I have a pretty good tolerance for it. My wife, on the other hand, she just like, and I bless her heart. Like, I mean, I get it. She just has like that. She has a lower tolerance to it. But even so, there's a point where I as well, I'm like, no, we got to go in there, kind of thing, you know. Black Hat Mafia says, Doctor, this past visit said just put up a baby gate and leave her to her devices. She will either cry herself to sleep on the floor, get back in bed, or play with her stuff in her room and eventually just pass back out. Okay. That's interesting, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Black Hat Mafia. Parathon says, growth spurts can spur sleep regression, especially early on. Sometimes a warm bottle of milk may help. Okay, that's good to know, too. Velcop says, it's supposed to be a Python streaming. Yeah, I know. We did a lot of Python today. Velcop says, and now we're talking about kids and how quickly they are growing up. Yep. Cloudhawk says, I think having a routine is pretty important, too. My son won't go to bed without reading before bed. Yeah. Black Hat Mafia says, starting now, we are skipping daytime naps to see if that helps as well. So what we read is you should keep the daytime naps, but I mean, I don't know. Like if it's working for you, just do it. Skip the daytime naps. I forget exactly why this article mentioned that we should keep the daytime naps. I forget. It depends on the age too, I think. Black Hat is Mafia. So mine's like between 2 and 3. And it's something like at 2 or at 3 is like when you can start getting rid of the daytime naps. But I mean, we appreciate the daytime naps, you know, as well, because it allows us to catch up on things that we need to do, especially on the weekend around the house. Parathon says he's doing great, sleeps with his older brother now. Oh, that's cool. That's great to hear, Parathon. Welt Class says, love your stream. I do not have much time to watch, but every time I watch, you have a really chill and friendly vibe going on here. Keep it up, Clarky. Thank you so much, Welt Class. I'm glad you get that vibe. And I'm always happy. I totally understand. Like watching a stream should not be your highest priority, folks. Like I'm never going to be like, oh, no. You should absolutely spend your time here. I mean, I joke around, like last Friday, I was joking around saying that kind of stuff at the beginning. But I mean, in all seriousness, you know, if you got stuff going on, life happens. There's many other things that are higher priority than being here. And I totally understand. So don't feel bad about not joining. I don't expect it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm glad you get a good vibe when you do make it here, Pelt Class, and thank you for being here today. Maniac says, I liked that stream very much, but I can't join the conversation too much because I'm afraid to make mistakes when I write. Which stream? This one? Maniac, please don't feel that way. Don't worry about making mistakes with your English. We'll help you out. We're here to help you out. Yeah, as Tofrog says as well too. Cloudhawk says, my son, I'm catching up on chat. Sweet. My son still takes a daytime nap. He's 3 going on 4. Okay, good. That's good to know for my own reference. Black Hat is Mafia says, yes, it is kind of a test. If she goes to sleep super tired, it is rougher usually. But with how long this has gone on, we're just trying everything. Yeah, I know. I know, man. You just feel so desperate, right? You're just like, please, anything just work. We just need some sleep, please. Oh my gosh, I feel for you so much, man. Black Has Mafia says, yes, my middle two napped until they were in kindergarten. My oldest wouldn't nap anytime after she was like 18 to 24 months. Wow, okay. Valcop says, it's better to make mistakes and be corrected, as this is the way you learn. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm caught up on chat. That was a fun conversation. I appreciate you all, indulging me in that conversation. And let's see, what were we doing? Oh, I wanted to see the API of session. So we're in globals. Let's see if we can find session in here, right? Session equals local proxy session. Where's local proxy coming from? So let's find that, I guess, right? Control find local proxy. Control F, I mean. That's coming from workzug. Oh my gosh. Code analysis is in progress. Workzug.local. So let's go and see if we can find that. That's in here. Local. Local proxy. There we go. Okay, local proxy. What are the functions on this? We're really digging into the internals of Flask right now, chat. It's good. It's good to go beyond, like, instead of letting it stay as this black box, it's good to go beyond that and see. Holy crap, it is 2:30. Oh my gosh. We've been streaming a really long time. We need to wrap this up. I gotta generate the stream notes after this and post it online. Got lots to do, and I got other work I gotta get up to. All right, where's get? See, so Python friends, when things are wrapped in a dunder, is that intended to be private or public function that we're allowed to use as a consumer of this API, so to speak? Is there a get in here? Get. I mean, that's what we were kind of looking at too anyway, right? Negative. Get ident. Get current. Object.set attribute. Get attribute. How? That's why. This is why. So when we were talking about this before, okay? Let's go back here, right? For us to figure out, for VS Code and IntelliSense to figure out there's a .get function available on this session object, right? This is what I'm talking about. We do .get. It doesn't come up. But apparently it works, right? Because we're running this thing. The reason it's not finding that is because, I mean, if you look at in here, there is no get function defined in this class, this object type. Where are we? Class local. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's defined somewhere else. Return where's local proxy? In this one. Define init. But you see what I'm saying? There's no function on the local proxy class, which is defined right here. Right? High five. codesillystuff says not local dot session. Let's see. Is there a session? Yeah, there is no dot session. Like, this is the session. Where is it? The type. So session is just like the property name on or the module, right? But the class type of the session is local proxy. You're working on session, not on local. Yes, correct. DomFX says, aren't dunders synonyms for other names like get attribute equals get? Are they really? I understand now. Okay, understood. Okay, cool. Good silly stuff. Kotoli says, because I know Python does that sometimes. What is that? Maybe get attribute binds automatically to get? Maybe. Right, so in any case, the exercise here, right? we went down this path so that we can understand more why we're not seeing this come up through IntelliSense. And I can see now, it's a little bit more understandable at least, that like I can't even, like if I look into the class type of session within the Flask library, we followed that whole path, which was through here, right? So session comes from globals. We go into globals. Session in here came from, you know, it's being assigned to the class, a new class called local proxy, and just given the name session, right? So the property name session. And then we go into what local proxy is. And local proxy class is this. Acts as a proxy for a workzerg local, forwards all operations to a proxied object. So what's a workzerg local? Let's try and find local. Maybe it's on the local object. Self underscore underscore local. Let's go to that. Where is that? Where is that defined? I think it was under somewhere else, right? It was on the workzerg local. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Local. I mean, that's what we're in, right? So this thing, let's just find all the classes. Class local, there it is. Does this have a get on it? No, it doesn't. There's no get function on this either. But maybe you guys and gals are right. Get attribute, like there's an alias in Python that will just map get to get attribute. But then, can I do this? Get that? Like, is that allowed? Parathon says Python dunder methods. Okay, let me click on that. Thank you, Parathon. Improve your Python. What? What are dunder methods? In Python, special methods are predefined methods are a set of predefined methods you can use to enrich your classes. They are easy to recognize because they start with that, for example. As it quickly became tiresome saying under method under. Pythonistas adopted the term dunder methods. Yeah, it's a short form of double under. Yep. Dunder methods let you emulate the behavior of built-in types. To fix this, you can add a double dunder method to your class. Ah. So you're supposed to use these double underscore ones. Catoli says all those double underscore functions are for Python itself to do some things. Oh, it's not for me as the like. So as the end user of a library, I'm not supposed to use double underscore. Get item. What is get item? Let's hover over it. Oops. DomFX says dunder len allows you to use len. If you look at the example. Special methods in the Python data model. Oh, we did learn about this in classes, right? So just like this and that. So if you were to say like account.str, Python knows to go to that dunder function. Yes. codesillystuff says, are you looking up the correct class? The official documentation does have get. So it's right. But you're right. It's not in the class you're looking at. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like something in the library's implementation, the code, right? So this is the thing. Like VS Code can only be as smart as the the tools, the libraries, as smart as the information the libraries provide to it, based on the APIs that are there. So what we're seeing, at least here, I don't know, because it's just so abstracted away potentially, that we followed the path of session. This module that's part of the Flask library. We followed the path of that, the internals of it. And we can't find this get like that. But it's there and it works. I don't know how I can debug decorators in Python, but in any case, just to show it working again, let's try to go. We're still not logged in, right? Let's double check here. Yeah, there's no session cookie here. So if we try to go to /twitch/Cecil. Oh shit. Now it's not working again. What'd I do? Invalid syntax. What was it before, chat? Wait, wasn't this always the case? I thought this was working before. Shit, it's not working. What happened? I think you need the breakpoint in the @wraps. Okay. Thank you, Katoli. I'm pretty sure get attribute goes to get. Ah. Robert Taylor says define Dunder Mifflin Kappa. Yeah. All right, so we restarted here. Let's try this again. Ah, see, it worked. What the hell was different? So if I try, let me do this again so people can see. So I'm typing in localhost 5000 /twitch/Cecil, enter. It redirects me back to the login page. All right, just to show that that's really working. I'll go to the main page, do /twitch/Cecil. So it's behaving the way I expect it now. If somebody tries to access an API endpoint that requires them to be logged in, it redirects them to the login page. And then I can say, oh, I'm Clarkio. Let me log in. Log in. And then it's supposed to redirect me back to that original page, but now if I go there manually, I can get to Cecil's page. So that works. Then if I log out again, and then I try to go to Cecil/Twitch, no, Twitch/Cecil, Cecil, Twitch and Cecil, combine those two words together, is redirecting me again. So everything's working this way. That's so weird that the IntelliSense doesn't say, hey, use .get. It only shows those other ones. What do you think, chat? Let me look at this link from codesillystuff. Flask.sessions. Is this supposed to be plural? I just have session here. This is session. Is this supposed to be plural? Look at this. Class Flask sessions. Maybe that's the problem? Look, there's the get right there. Return the value of a key. Default equals none. No, the class is called session. Yeah. Katoli, what is IIWDT? Code says, but your code is working. No, it is working. It's working. Now I don't know why it's working. I thought I did, but now I don't. All right. I would love to, like, this has been really fun and interesting, and I would love to continue on. If it worked, don't touch it, says Katoli. IIWDT. I love that. Nice. Thank you for doing that. So let's wrap this up by committing this code. How do I... HVBO, thank you for the follow. How can I commit this code so that Cecil and I can pick up with this next time? And lots of people texting me right now. Hold on. How can I save these changes? Ooh, check out the font command. Font hvbo. There you go. Elkin4 Cecil hasn't updated the repo there from last October. This repo? The Python repo? Check that one out, Elkin Forest. It's this one. We went to a new repo. Hey, no problem, HVBO. Clarkio, new branch. Upload it to GitHub. Well, so that's the thing. So Cecil has it on GitHub here. This is it. And the thing is, so this is really interesting situation now. Like, so let's talk, thinking about collaborating on a Visual Studio Online environment that was created from a GitHub repository. So I used his GitHub repository to create this Visual Studio Online environment. Do I have access to my Git controls in here? Let's stop this from running. Let's get rid of our commented out code. We don't need that. Keep all that. All that. You know, I'm not even hitting breakpoints in this here. Why is that? Debugger is active. Is it not attaching? It's weird, right? I need to figure that out too. Here's the username is empty every time too. You're not debugging. I thought I was. I mean, I'm not now, yes, but when I run it like this, I'm debugging. Oh! Here's the breakpoint. Well, that was weird. Where are my breakpoints again? So like this one, if I try to access this route, I should hit a breakpoint when it goes through. You know, so like let's say I go again, say Twitch, and let's say, I don't know, code silly stuff. All right, so it's like, oh, you're not logged in, Clarkio, log in. Redirects me to the home page, Twitch, code silly stuff. See, I'm not hitting that breakpoint. Why? It's weird. It only works when you complain about it. Look at your play button. It says Python Flask. What's my launch configuration say? Maybe I have to. Flask debug true. Launch. Module Flask type Python. I must be missing something. Well, I don't have the time to dig into this, but we'll put a pin in that for next time, I guess. Let's see. Can I? We can get rid of this auth one. Let's delete that file because we're not using that. And we're essentially accomplished at least creating a login decorator to some degree, right? Like, again, it's not like a promising. Let's get rid of that print statement, I guess, too. Wait, why am I not getting the username there? Like, I should see Clarkio come through. You know what I'm saying, chat? Like, if I'm logged in, I should see Clarkio come through. Let's. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Exit. Run this again. It only works when you complain about it. Oh, okay, cool. I'll fork it myself. Okay, Elkin Forest, check it out. We're hitting this breakpoint here. That's so weird that we hit that breakpoint there. All right, so now if I come back here, refresh. Oh, there's the username. It is working. Okay. Username is Clarkio. Okay. That is working. All right, let's get rid of that console log. We don't need it. And I get rid of these breakpoints. I don't want those anymore right now. And let's see what happens here. So we have this source control workspace versus pyenv. I don't know what that means. What did we conclude on the install sh? Pyenv activate after installs, and then pip install Flask, and you should be good to go. Yeah, I think that's enough. All right, so that's good. All right, so add login. I don't know. Add login decorator and update install script. Add fix, right? Fix install script. Can I commit this? Let's see. Yes. What did I commit that to? Can I push this? It should fail on push. Login. Because it's HTTPS GitHub. Even if I enter my own credentials, it's going to fail. So I'm going to cancel that. Catoli. Got a link. VS Code. Run the app in debugger. Run the app in debugger. Debugger. Before you begin, make sure you've stopped running the app. Yep. Maybe it's because no debugger, no reload. So like if the Flask one is running, then it's like why? I wonder why these args are needed. Does it say anywhere in here? At Pi launch. I'm doing. I basically did all this, Catoli. The only thing is I've removed these and I changed this to 1. Maybe if I change that to 0. Username, Clarkia, password. Oh. Let's cancel that. Yeah. All right, so I committed them locally at least. I need to say git. Let's do this. I know what I need to do. I need to fork the repository under my own account. So let's fork this under Clarkio. It'll take a second. And then I can say in that, you'll see, we're going to learn a little bit of git quick, real quick. Git quick. Get good, Brian. Catoli says, just trying to help with that debugging decoration. Thank you so much, Catoli. I appreciate it. That is helpful to get the like confirmation that I'm at least trying to do this thing right on my own. All right, so now in here I can say git remote add, not origin, git remote add help. How do I do this again? Help. Control Shift J. What is it saying? Fetch tags, track, master. I think I want to say git remote add -track. The name is going to be Clarkio and the URL is going to be we're going to have to do the SSH one, I think. I mean the HTTPS one, because I don't want to generate an SSH key for this environment. Keep in mind here, folks. So can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. Let me copy this. I'm doing git remote add -t to track it. I'm setting the name of the remote to be Clarkio and pointing it to my Clarkio repo. That didn't work. Git remote add that. Okay. So git remote just help. Should have a list, right? Git remote Clarkio and origin. So we're gonna say git push Clarkio master. Okay. I'm gonna hide my screen. Hiding my screen. Does anybody know, my next question with this is, those of you that are familiar with Git and GitHub, there's a way to like hide it so that, well, not hide it, but like, and I have a separate email for this anyway, but like I want my commits to be, shoot, where did I put it? Knowledge. Just give us your secrets, Brian. No. I think it's gonna work. It is working. To show you that it worked. So I logged in via HTTPS for this. And it pushed it to my repository now up in GitHub. So we should see a refresh. Okay. Yeah, Brian Clark and Brian Clark. Say, I knew something was weird about this here. Add login decorator. So now what I can do is I can say create a pull request. What this is going to do is it's going to create a pull request from my instance of it. Why is this an anti? Creating a PR from the default branches anti-pattern? Whatever. It's our own little side project. And now we can see the changes I made. Created a launch configuration. Created this login decorator. Updated the main.py with the login and logout. The app secret key, which don't ever do this, chat. Don't ever hard code your app, any secrets in your code like this. Like this, I just made it up. This is a demo project. It's not something we're really going into production with. We're just using this to learn, right? But I don't want you all to think that this is okay. You should do something more like get this from environment variables that are running in the environment that you're running the application in. Like we saw before. Remember when I was trying to do debugging before? I was saying like, you know, Flask underscore app equals blah. You could also say like, hey, what was that called? Secret key, you know, secret key equals blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And that would stay local to just this machine that I'm running this on. Or any deployed environment, you would have a separate key for that you would be using there. So keep that in mind. Don't store secrets, passwords, or any connection strings, anything like that in your source code. And you'll be good to go. But I'm going to do that anyway for this one. And so we'll open up the PR and then see what Cecil thinks. Let him check it out, and we'll take a look at it next episode. All right. We did so much today. We didn't mark a lot, although I know Gareth was helping out quite a bit with that mark, closing, and raid. Falcop says compare across forks. Click that one. Oh, I was a little late on that. Knowledge says, so what do you need a GitHub expert for, according to Pluralsight? What do you mean? I don't know. What do I need? Knowledge. All right. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I gotta eat lunch, and I got a lot more work to do for the rest of the day. But I had a lot of fun. I learned quite a bit. I appreciate all the support and help from you all. You've been super kind and fun to work with today. So thank you for joining me so much. Again, you're watching another episode of, well, not an episode necessarily, but like another instance of the Python show here on the Clarkio channel. Normally I'm joined by my co-host Cecil, but as I mentioned earlier, he's busy traveling for work, but we shall see him in the next episode. So just a heads up, speaking of the next episode, we will not have one next week because he and I will be traveling for work as well to a team summit that we have in Seattle. If you are in Seattle and you want to meet up, hit me up in the Discord. Great way to do that. Here's the link and invitation to join there and have that conversation. Or if you want to, you don't really care for Discord for whatever reason, that's fine. And you prefer some type of social media, there's all my links on the social media sites that are there. You can reach out to me. All right, we are going to raid somebody. So I ask that you all stick around for a little bit longer if you don't mind. I'd really appreciate it. And the next streamer is going to have a lot of fun and appreciate this as well. Let's check this.
Okay, else.
Okay, I like this. Enterprise automation with PowerShell?
And
I think... Oh, Gareth is streaming, actually. Gareth is streaming, who was in here earlier helping us out. He's saying, let's build a tournament system. Let's go check out Gareth. He was super kind and supportive today. It was nice of him to join us and offer some assistance, so let's send it right back, the love right back his way, too, okay? So that's who we're going to go raid. Give Gareth a warm welcome from the community here. He's building a tournament system.
Just do it!
And I think you might find it fun. All right, chat. Thank you all again. It means a lot to me. It means the world to me to have you here. If you were lurking and just listening in this whole time, that's super cool, too. If you were chatting with me, even... That's just amazing. I appreciate it. You're all amazing. Thank you for the sound effects. Code silly stuff. All right, have a good rest of your Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow. Robert Tables and I are going to be talking about senior dev stuff and how to just level up in your career and things like that. He's going to be sharing most of that experience, and I'm just going to be asking questions because I'm a junior dev for life. I don't know. Anyway, hope you can tune in for that. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time right here at Clarkio, twitch.tv/Clarkio. All right, have a good rest of your week. Peace out, everybody. I'll miss you.